friends are now my enemies. Always tell you what to do. Can't keep up with all the bullshit they're throwing your way. Always looking for the easy way. Now they're walking over you. Yeah. Never felt so damn frustrated. You're just wasting my time. All the feelings that I dread is ringing in my head. Can't believe the words you said. Somebody save me. Now we're hanging by a thread and it's ringing in my head. All the feelings that I dread is ringing in my head. Can't believe the words you said. Somebody save me. Now we're hanging by a thread. It keeps on ringing in my head.
Go on, get it! Pentakill for Sun Prodigy!
I was forged for this, I rise in flame. Top of the mountain in my veins, got to make with nothing.
Guys to the grave! Quadra kill, but so was the Spirit of the Nine Winds is still alive! Who is the first to fall? It is Cardifex's first blood!
The X connects onto the Hades. Down he goes. On, able to take down 2, able to take down 3.
Adding them up, keeping them there, and it's a pentakill!
Hello, Olympus Smite League. Welcome on in, boys, girls, in-betweeners, however you want to feelers. It is a best of 5. It's the grand finals for the Athens division. $2,500 is on the line tonight. One of these two teams is going to take it home. My name is Malum. I have the honor of being joined by Spirited Book as well as Tess in production with a lot of the Olympus Smite League admin staff working behind the scenes. We thank you for choosing to join us on this Tuesday night. We're gonna have a lot of games. Let's hope for going all the way, right? The full best of 5. But before we get into all the good stuff tonight, Book, the simple question: how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, Malum. Had a long weekend, but finally we're back here yapping about Smite. We kind of expected to do this on the Sunday, but instead a bit of a delay happened, and now here we are yet again, finally ready to cast this oh so important series, this best of 5, everything on the line between these two teams I don't think we really expected to see, you know, early on, even the midpoint, even towards the tail end of our regular
One of them
season.
especially.
Yeah,
one of them especially so, but all that in due time. First, we got lots of stuff we have to talk about. Let's start talking dollar bills, right? Let's start talking about prizing, because all these players, all 10 substitutes, they're playing for one grand prize, right? And that grand prize is $2,500. Second place getting $1,000, so a decent drop between first and second. And if I have experience of one thing in esports, it is that when there is a drop from first to second place for prizing, I promise you, the teams are putting a little extra pep in their step. But that's not all, of course. There is one big question you have to ask. How did we get here? Well, we can take a look at the bracket and see how Athens actually shaped up throughout these playoffs. And there was a lot of surprises along the way. And this is one of the many things we're going to talk about as we get through the night. There's a long time for talking about this stuff, so bear that in mind. But the Djungelskogs had a very unlikely path to get here. This is a theme we're going to repeat quite a bit, whereas the Food Fighters, in some ways, they ended up becoming expected, and in a lot of ways, Sun Prodigy continues to be a bit of an inevitability. But speaking of the rosters, we have the rosters to take a peek at, and you can see them on screen now. Lots of names I'm sure you recognize from around the scene, and for good reason. A lot of Smite Prime players, a lot of top players in ranked as well. But, of course, we still have more to go through. Let's talk a little bit about Olympus Smite League itself. If you're tuning in for the first time, Olympus Smite League is one of the many amateur Smite leagues in the Smite 2 scene. Don't miss your chance to join now. While signups are obviously closed for Season 8, Season 9 is right around the corner. So scan that code or put !OSL in the Smite Game Twitch chat right now, and you can join the Discord so that you and all your friends are ready for next season. Don't worry, we're almost through all the good stuff, because Book, it is a best of 5. And one thing that Olympus Smite League uses that we're starting to see more of everywhere in Smite 2 is the vault ban system. So Book, take us through the vault bans, because my goodness, did it impact the best of 5 on Sunday.
Yeah, I feel like, with this new system, we're seeing a lot more, not just in Smite, but other MOBAs as well. It's really shown the best players are the ones with the wider god pools or respective whatever in other respective MOBAs and whatnot. And this, in our system here, is once a character has been played in a game, let's say in game 1, Thor is picked up. Thor then cannot be played in games 2, games 3, games 4, or game 5. Don't have to worry about banning them for the rest of the series. Once that god is played, can no longer be played. A character that is banned can still be played or banned, obviously, throughout the series. But again, once that character has been played through the full game, as soon as the Titan dies, that character is no longer eligible to be played for the entire rest of the series.
We've talked rosters, we've talked everything, we've looked at bracket. Now we can start talking games, because everything starts, of course, with the first game. And the first game in a best of 5 is complicated as it is, Book. But when we're talking about the first game of a best of 5, that includes vault bans. As we head onto the picks and ban screen, as the players load into lobby to get things underway, there's so many complications that come in a best of 5 in that first game alone. First game is, my opinion, has always been, it's really important. It's easy to overlook the first game, but it truly sets the tone. You add in vault bans, there's a lot of different opportunities and positions you can go. We're in a very clearly defined meta right now. What are some of the early expectations you have as our first ban of the Athens Grand Finals comes through?
Yeah, I feel like Daji was going to be one of the main targets. Sunprod loves that character. No real surprise that that one's been taken away here. But, I mean, you mentioned it. Game 1, I feel like, is more important. I used to be a big Game 2 believer for a long time, but I agree with vault bans. Game 1 just becomes that much more important. I feel like we're going to see a lot of priority for characters like Thor. And hot take, Anthony, Thor, in my opinion, might be the best god in Smite 2 right now. I think that character is very strong, can flex. I talk so much about that initiation and how important initiation is, that hard initiation as well as soft initiation in terms of that wall. I feel like Thor is a very versatile character that allows teams to play fights very differently, and not a lot of other characters have two kind of can play the initiation style in the two different ways.
Chang'e Best already targeted with an Aphrodite ban. I was watching recently Kaveka's streaming both some scrims as well as just ranked, and Chang'e Best was playing a Necronomicon tanky Aphrodite build that was actually demonic in what it was accomplishing in the queues. So I'm not really too surprised to see that go away. Problem is, with what was banned away, while there's a lot of top picks banned, that still opened the door where the Djungelskogs were able to get themselves a Cerberus, or Kerberos, shout out Musi. For the other side, we have a Newt and the Thor you were just talking about as the top 2 locks.
Yeah, I think Thor is pretty disgusting. I feel like we've seen Cerberus being first picked for a long time now. I feel like he's starting to kind of reach that point where he is in fall off territory. I feel like there's so much more versatile flex picks that can be prioritized right now. I'm just kind of a little bit shocked that Food Fighters have, or not Food Fighters, but Skogs are just going, okay, we want the 3-headed dog. Let's let Food Fighters get some of their better picks. Thor, I feel like, is a very strong flex potential between Sunprod and John Rowing. I think it's a better pick in the jungle right now. That's where I expect to see that pick going. But again, Newt, just easy pressure in mid lane. And we talked about Chang'e Best already getting some of their gods eliminated in the bans. That's another character that could be taken away from them, and just more pressure against this mid laner.
As the Charon and Achilles are hovered, if you're all tabbed, make sure you tab into Smite Game really quick and enter the predictions that I'm hoping, fingers crossed, are live currently to get your vote in for the games and let us know. And of course, spend some of those valuable points here in Smite Game on who you think is going to win. So the Charon and the Achilles both locked in. You want to talk about flex potential? Now you have an Achilles and a Thor as options. Whereas the Djungelskogs, their next selection will be the Morgan Le Fay. A character talking about flex. We've seen Aurora slam it in support and look amazing in it. Or we've also seen it do classic MLF things in the mid lane.
Yeah, I feel like MLF is just a character that absorbs pressure in the mid lane right now. She doesn't really get easy pressure, but she can absorb it really well and kind of come out fairly even. Her wave clear is pretty solid, and against the Newt, I feel like that's what Chang'e Best has to do this game. She has to play to absorb that pressure, as well as just play really safe. I mean, you mentioned the Achilles flex, but I think I'm still sold that that's going to be a Thor jungle. Sunprod doesn't really strike me as an Achilles player, and then that's a lot of kill potential between this 2v2 of Thor and Newt that this Morgan Le Fay really does have to play very safe. Doesn't have a dash to get over the wall or a leap to get over the wall. Just has to position very effectively in this mid lane to keep their life intact.
You did touch on as well kind of characters that people touch on. What's funny is when I think of characters that Sunprod and Nog, for that matter, play, one of the core junglers that's banned away in terms of the banned content being Aladdin, I don't think they're too affected. Notable other banned content right now, the Morrigan, Aladdin, Atlas, Chalk. For aspects, Chiron, Discordia, and Cernunnos aspect will not be utilized. There's a few play at your own risks as well, but those are the core things that are banned away. As our final lock-in is there, the Agni gets selected. So Newt ADC, Newt mid, Agni ADC, Agni mid, what are you feeling?
I feel like it's got to be Agni ADC. It could be Newt in ADC, Agni mid, but I don't know. I feel like I'm more inclined to believe Kaveka might be an Agni ADC believer still. I think Newt is just so much stronger when you go towards that full int build over the strength build right now, and you can just slot it into the mid lane. It's easy pressure. Agni doesn't have that same kind of ease of pressure against this Morgan Le Fay. I think from a pure matchup perspective, they should really slot the Newt into the mid lane and just send the Agni into the ADC role. Good clear presence. The only concern I have is against this Apollo that we haven't even touched on a little bit. Apollo has that global presence, can kind of match what this Thor wants to do a little bit, but from the ADC role, not going to be as, rotation heavy, but still has that potential to play backline dive. And against Agni, he can kind of struggle against that a little bit.
All right, everyone at home, it's time. The Athens Grand Finals. The gaming begins now. Let's head on to the battleground of the gods and get this thing started. I'm Malum, joined by Spirited Book and Tess in the broadcast booth. Your order side to start the day off is the Djungelskogs. The Chaos side is the Food Fighters. It's Athens Grand Finals, $2,500 on the line. Cinematic as ever, Tess. Way to start things out. We look across, we've got the Aegis, a lot of beads and a shell for the Djungelskogs, as well as a mixture of beads and Aegis on the other side for the Foo Fighters. The Thor is in the jungle going aspect. The Newt goes to ADC, and Agni will go to the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea here. I think Agni ADC isn't as strong as, say, the Newt ADC is right now. But I think Newt mid is just better by far in terms of a character and where she fits best right now. Instead, it seems like Kaveka is going to go for more of a, attack speed, more on-hit style of build here with the strength behind it. And that can be not worrisome per se, but I feel like you're lacking a lot of what this character is kind of known for right now and how strong she can be in the mid lane. And again, just free pressure. Agni not going to have that level of, true pressure in terms of clearing the wave and then able to just kind of 1v1 you and could kill you if you don't respect it.
Notable difference in the ADC role with starter items as well. The Gilded Arrow for Tuba, whereas Kaveka selects the Death's Toll to get us through the laning phase. Both items, we're in a state currently in this meta where every ADC is putting in their work to try to find the best build to utilize and what's doing the strongest. And it's kind of what Smite always lands on, right? But there's the crit build or there's the blow up tanks build if you don't want to deal with the Spectral. Those are your options. Pick your build and put it in the bag. But before we get any further, I do want to mention, as Timer 1K takes a little bit of poke in the solo lane, dual lane, hostile puppy, gone! First blood for the Athens finals goes to the underdogs, the Djungelskogs. And you know what, Book? It's funny they get the first blood. I'm sure chat's loving that at home because 66% of Twitch chat voted on the Djungelskogs, whereas 34% was for Food Fighters for this first game.
That's kind of surprising. I feel like Food Fighters, they are the favorites, arguably, as Sunprod finds the wall here on Chang'e Best. That forces her beads. And we'll see if they can pay attention towards this Morgan Le Fay, look to pressure her out, punish that once Sunprod hits level 5. But that's kind of surprising. I mean, Food Fighters, they're the favorites easily going into this series. They haven't really dropped a lot of games throughout the regular season, throughout playoffs even. They're kind of this unstoppable force. And the Skogs, to me, honestly, with how their story's been, it honestly feels a little bit reminiscent of that, SK Gaming and the PK Knights, or Pittsburgh Knights, excuse me, back in season 6 and 7, respectively.
Good shout.
Where it's this team that kind of comes out of nowhere come time for the playoffs and for Worlds specifically, and just kind of defeats their old nemesis of Rival, the team that goes throughout the regular season as the best team, kind of undefeated at times, looking unstoppable, and suddenly this underdog team comes out of nowhere and just wins and matches well into this team that kind of stomps other teams around them.
Well, I find it funny you said that the unstoppable force, whereas the Djungelskogs, they feel like the unbothered object, where there's the arguments to be made that they sort of fell into the grand finals. Not even arguments. I've seen it flat out typed in chat in Olympus Smite League, but they still are here, and the players are obviously talented. These are names that we've seen compete at the highest level in other situations and other leagues. Gank and solo lane, both junglers have arrived for a bit of a throwdown, but everybody's fairly healthy. See Sunprod adjust positioning. Doesn't look like it's going to break down into much more. Firebrands could be a different story.
Outside of that first blood, I mean, we're still seeing pressure in this duo lane, as this is how Tuba and Tempo want to play it with this Cerberus. As wall does connect on a Chang'e.
Ult is online, which will get popped early by the MLF, just trying to keep herself safe. Nog was nearby in case things got real dicey, but Firebrand's up. The contest was there, but Djungelskogs will lock it down. So early on, still very early, not even 4 minutes, but all the farm on the map is seemingly going blue. I mean, purple buff invaded successfully, Firebrand's down, you had the first blood in duo lane. That's about as ideal of a start as you can get if you are the Djungelskogs.
Yeah, nice early start here for this duo lane that wants to be aggressive, and Sunprod not being level 5 around those Firebrands the first round isn't able to really contest them. You would have liked to have seen Sunprod look for a play on a Chang'e Best there, but again, just not level 5, doesn't have access to that ultimate, so can't punish the lack of beads on this Morgan Le Fay. And now the beads are back up, and so the little timer where Chang'e Best has access to a CC Immune ultimate can use that, and that buys time for this relic to come back off of cooldown. Now look at this. Kaveka and Hostile Puppy, they can't even contest this wave. They're too far behind, and they just don't feel comfortable even contesting getting the full minion here. They just get the 2 minis.
That's not a real good look, and I believe we saw before somebody come over and take chalices too, so no gold for the Food Fighters duo lane, just being completely starved out in the duo lane. That's a tough look to start things off. Some Rainfire dropped on Nog, but he'll be a-okay. I always wonder, Book, and I feel like this might come up a little bit later too, but I know in divisions such as Sparta, as you've experienced, as we watch Sunprod rotate over duo, are we ulting? We have hit 5, as you talked about. There's the pressure on Food Fighters. We're not ulting. We're just walking up and waving hello. So, as I was, I feel like there's a time where players are a little bit nervous, right? In Sparta, we saw it. I know for a fact it happened in Delphi, but I wonder in Athens, where a lot of these players, looking at so many players to name at once, compete in Smite Prime. Some have even competed in the Founder Series. Does it affect them the same way or no?
Yeah, I feel like some of these players are very experienced, though. I mean, players like Nog have, seen that level of competition. Tuba for sure. Sunprod now competing in Smite Prime for a hot minute now, but it does feel that way a little bit this game. It feels like neither team really wants to let go this crazy lead. To me, it's players like Hostile Puppy and Chunga Best who haven't really seen this kind of level of competition. Even Timer 1K, who I feel like are potential to be some of the more nervous players. But even so, to me, it's just Hostile Puppy doesn't really have a strong matchup against the Cerberus, who has easy pressure. So they have to play respectfully. In mid lane, Chunga Best has done a good job of staying alive so far, hasn't really been punished. And yeah, this honestly, to me, this game, it feels like a game 5 where neither team just really wants to go crazy. I mean, Sunprod we saw walk left, had ultimate, didn't use it. To me, that's a bit of a I mean, Thor, you want to be using this ultimate off of cooldown as much as possible. Look for plays, look for little walls, force the beads, and then look for a play once you force the beads. It's just, this is a very slow game here, but 3-man grouping on the left-hand side.
Purple buff invade.
Oh, good wall.
Is considered, but Sunprod says, no, you don't. That is my team's purple buff, so the small plays are where you have to look, and the small play was very effective from Sunprod and the gang. Purple buff secured for Food Fighters, and Ritual unlocks in 30 seconds. Maybe we'll have some action there. Chunga Best being walked at by the Thor. Takes the scenic route, gonna pop the ult early, the wall cut off the escape. Yes, but Food Fighters will not commit.
That's a big tool now down, though, on the Djungelskogs. Chunga Best. That ultimate needs to be used as a form of safety and security for this Morgan Le Fay and how she wants to position. So pay attention to where this MLF decides to position around this ritual that has spawned in the mid lane. As left-hand side, Hostile Puppy getting runned at here. Actually, it's Tuba looking for a play.
Tuba goes in on Kaveka as Nog is fighting off Hostile Puppy. Now Sunprod on the rotation. Where we landing? We're hitting Nog. Pre-beats for it. But when you're followed up on by the big wave, all you can do is tremble in fear. And the first kill for the Food Fighters. But we're not done. Mid lane, Chunga Best will get a revenge kill on Agni. By revenge, I mean stepping the direction of her. And Djungelskogs make it 2-1 right after the first kill from the other side.
I mean, that's a heavy commitment to the left-hand side. Yeah, you get the kill, and was just going to talk about that lovely combo of Sunprod pulls the beads, and then you have follow-up off of this Charon ultimate as Sunprod still hunting for more.
That beads is a lifesaver for Tuba, but what does it set up? The Gold Fury still on the map, of course, but you notice the rotations out from solo. So are we full committing to that? Do we want to walk mid lane? It looks like mid lane might be the call here for Food Fighters. The Skogs are aware. The answer is soft. Artio there first with tempo. Timer 1K, seeing what's available. Options thin, but now with Nog here as well. Chunga Best having to stay safe in the back line. Do you go aggressive? A lot of damage onto the head top of tempo. Gets the jump away and slows that same tempo down. Food Fighter standing stronger, but they're letting the Skog step forward now. Are you trying to force the fight out? Where's the poke on the tempo, who is still hanging out low?
They got
Nog lurking, and the ritual goes to the Food Fighters.
Still grouping here, and I feel like at some point they'll start to back away. Yeah, they'll realize they need to go get their neutral farm, and that to me is a little shocking. I feel like that's a bit of a drop by the Djungelskogs. They pick Paris in mid lane, and they feel they have to rotate to the left-hand side to keep Tuba alive, as Nog on his own here looking to be aggressive, but not a lot Kaveka can do about it right now. Doesn't have the damage online, and Tuba nearby as well, but I feel like that was a missed opportunity for the Skogs. That, to me, was like, oh, it's a done deal. This is their ritual now. They got a lovely pick in the mid lane as an answer back to what the Food Fighters were doing, committing so many resources to the left-hand side. And it's just a little cross-map play that works out, and then they don't get the ritual. and they give it
And look
to the
how
food
close it
fighters.
still is from that too, for how early this is. I'm so used to, with Athens in particular, games just going so out of control so quickly, but we're coming up on 10 minutes and it's discernible at best.
Yeah, no Gold Furies, no, crazy objectives, no
500,
crazy
wow.
fights taken just yet, no even real invades that have been effective. It's just slow, methodical gameplay from both teams as Sunprod's hovering here as Tuba doesn't have beats for another 27 seconds, but I don't think he'll get punished for not having that relic.
Look at this ward coverage. That's what you want to see. I mean,
Look at the mid lane.
we always talk about things you should look at, and take notes of if you're a player wanting to improve some skill. Plain simple, let's talk wards. Look at the coverage. That's wild. Purple buff secured for Djungelskogs, despite the show of force for a moment from food fighters. And Apollo ult bring a Nagalog for company, but we're turning and we're not diving Kaveka quite yet.
I feel like if that's if it's regular season, they're going in there. They're like, we got nothing to lose. Let's go in here and let's make a play. But this is playoffs. This is finals. And Tuba and Nog decide, okay, maybe we looked. We don't need to go for it anymore. And that to me is a lovely play from Tuba where it's like, okay, I have a Apollo ult. I'm looking to use it to make a play. Versus Sunprod, again, to me, has had this Thor ult kind of just sitting in pocket now for a hot second. Hasn't been the most active on this character just yet.
Nog dancing around with Sunprod on the other side of that Oracle wall. Meanwhile, left side buff camp. Ult out. You see that damage on top? Add a wave to it. Nog around the back, looking for Kaveka. Could be a kill here. Skyfall's nice, but you got to land back in the same spot. Will you go down when you land? Nog is still waiting. Phantom Shell. Now we're taking an Uber, but still going down. Kaveka, can you add one more? Maybe two more with Sunprod's arrival. Consuming power, but not consuming the kill. Only one gained on the left side.
Harris not able to rotate on over, just kind of hovers towards that mid lane. But John Rowing actually makes the rotation, expecting a bit more of a scrap. And now he's going to end up losing a little bit of farm here. Has to head to the left-hand side, cover the wave. Djungelskogs, they don't even go for a Gold Fury after. They get the kill, and then they walk away. That's it. That's all they need. Instead, they'll just kind of continue to play this slow farming game because they're aware that, hey, we scale pretty well. If this game is even and it goes to late, our Apollo will have full build and be able to swing like a truck. Our Tsukiyomi will one-shot backliners as the game goes on if they don't have Aegis. So they're, happy to sit on their hands, so to speak, for a while and just let the game go late.
I told you, Buck, I was talking with the players, and one of my most selfish request was, yes, I requested something of the players. I asked for a pentakill, so
Ooh.
let's pick it up. Let's pick it up, gang. Just like this. Kaveka ganked and dead. Nog, first kill for the Tsukiyomi.
Yeah, no Aegis there for Kaveka. Just going to take an early spill. But what do the Skogs get off of that is going to be my question. We always talk about the stuff after the stuff. And so far, it's just
Yeah.
a bit of pressure on the left-hand side. But they're still grouping for another play. This next kill will be important.
Focus on to Paris. Early dash away. Well, we can get it's the Charon, but unable to get the pull away. So the Skogs regroup. But you would think maybe with the poke and hostile puppy, Kaveka respawning.
No.
Do you have a next game plan? Not gold. Maybe it was still Paris. Nog looked for it, but another good dash away to survive.
John Rowing really wants to
Sup,
fight
John?
here. Yeah, realizes that this game might get out of hand if it keeps going like this. And this is twice now that he's kind of rotated and looked to make a play where there isn't really anything happening, and has to be careful that it doesn't end up falling too far behind to Timer 1K, who's just kind of happy to sit on the right-hand side and keep farming. Now Timer's rotated on over, looking to push John Rowing off of the farm.
So this is what I was going to ask you, Book. When you have a game like this, there's usually a team that is okay with the pace of play being that as such. In this instance, which team are you feeling strongly is
Skogs.
benefiting from the space? Is it the Skogs by that much?
Yeah,
You
I
say
think
it so confidently.
I think so. I think the Achilles will start to fall off, so to speak, against the Apollo, that once they get items, they can deal with frontliners. Kaveka with the build they're kind of going for is going to struggle against this RDO and killing this RDO as the game goes on, where this bear character will just be in their face. The Tsukiyomi scales really well with the double stacking build as well, and just going to one-shot backliner. The Morgan Le Fay damage just gets stronger as the game goes on. this Food Fighters team really wants to play around this Thor being impactful early around the ultimates, using the wall to pull beads and, you know, ultimates to make plays. But they, again, to me, Sunprod, outside of that one play on the left-hand side where I believe they killed Tuba, or was it Nog? I want to say Nog. They killed Nog on the left-hand side.
Soul Laner's doing Soul Laner things, but Book, I notice in the mid lane we've got another grouping, but will this turn into something more? It seems like just more and more of the passing. But you made a point that I kind of want to dive a little deeper on. You talked about how this is positive for the Skogs. So is there an apex that Food Fighters can hit? Can you kind of cut off the Skogs at a certain point before it gets out of hand? Because the game, while slow and favoring Skogs, obviously because it's slow and close, it isn't out of reach.
No, it's definitely not out of reach just yet. I feel like they need to be active soon, though. Again, the longer the game goes, the better it is for the Skogs, but Food Fighters can look to make plays. Again, to me, it's just they haven't done that just yet. I don't know if it's nerves, but again, to me, we talk about Thor as a character. Again, I think he's the best character in the game right now for Smite 2. But part of that is using that ultimate and being active in side lanes, being active in the mid lane, looking to force beads, looking to force relics, even if it's the shell off of tempo. The CC Moon ultimates as well, but just hasn't really done that just yet. Now, no, he's going to back to base. I thought maybe he was going to go for an ult, but again, instead, just happy to wait for this Moonlight Ritual. And I wonder, are Food Fighters going to group as 5 here and look to force this objective and say, hey, we want this. We really want this. And more importantly, we want the fight that's going to happen around this objective.
Well, it's 16.5, 4-1, and still barely 1,000 separates us. For how long will that snapshot be active? And when does that become a memory as this game progresses? Maybe this point is a go button. You see the Tsukuyomi taking a high path, could look for a gank in the mid lane. Chang'e best setting up there, but no, Nog's going to turn and take the safe path to the team, with Sunprod being there as well. Tuba does not have ultimate in the left lane as the contest is on. Focus on the Sunprod, who takes the hammer away to safety. And for now, the Food Fighters concede, but now up in the air is Sunprod over to the buffs. So I feel like that would be no, it's not a concession. The Food Fighters already had enough of the point.
Oh, wow, they did. Yeah, okay. That was a lovely play there. I thought they were just going to say, all right,
I got baited too.
Yeah, I mean, what a beautiful sequence there between Chang'e, Best, and Nog, where they commit their CC and ult and damage in tandem with each other. But now Food Fighters grouping around this Queen Naga, and there is an ADC that actually no, Tuba doesn't have ultimate, so this is gonna be a true 4-on-4.
Yeah, it's not going to be up for a few seconds, so Tuba could be saving mana for it, but you're not going to get here in time anyway. But the Food Fighters let go of that Queen Naga. Now the Skogs are in the pit. Tuba's on the way. The Newt cannot contest that rotation speed. Already an ult out from the Charon. Who's Tuba looking at? Gotta land soon. Here it is. Target is Charon. The land down, the Mez to follow. You see the damage onto the head top of Paris too. Is that going to be a kill? It'll be Hostile Puppy falling down. Paris has already retreated. Now going aggressive is John Rowing, but all the Skogs are waiting, and they've got damage to pour on. Add in Paris and Sunprod to the pile, but they're going to pile on top of Tuba. Not before Nog and Timer 1K combined. Double kill for Timer. Might just be one more, as John Rowing is left alone, and Tempo will get the credit. So everybody falls for Food Fighters, minus Kaveka, who couldn't match the rotation. Kaveka gets one tier 1, but Queen Naga goes to Skogs.
As soon as the Moonlight Ritual, it's got in mid lane, that's fine. And as soon as you drop the Queen Naga, I think you just gotta bail out if you're the Food Fighters. You are aware that Tuba's ulting on over at some point. Gotta imagine Kaveka called that one out. So just back off. You got yourself a win in the mid lane. You have now siege minions pushing all 3 lanes. Kaveka used that to get the tier 1 on the left-hand side. More gold in their pocket as they get stronger on this character. Also double stacking as well with the Transcendence Book of Thoth. And then just back off. You're okay giving just the Queen Naga because you got yourself 2 Moonlight Rituals, now a tier 1 tower. Instead, they lose 4 members. Skogs get a Pyro as well, and they're in the lead.
By a lot. Remember, I said take a bit of a snapshot in your brain of where we were, how close it would be. Now we're up to 5K in experience, which is a lot for 20 minutes, but more notably 3K for gold after it had been so close. I mean, at this point of a game book, that can complete an item and rush you ahead of somebody at a point where that big advantage and that small advantage of damage is equaling more, if not the same. This is a dangerous spot to be in if you're Food Fighters. Pulling this gold could be a good start in getting that back, but it looks like they're nowheres. The Skogs, they're on the way. That Gold Fury is at half. Tempo leads the way. Tuba in chase. Food Fighters let go of the Gold Fury. Down to 3K. Now the fight taken by the Skogs. We're pulling in damage on 1K gold. Gold goes to Skogs. But Food Fighters still want to try for the fight. Tuba heading up to the air. Target locked in with the piercing moonlight for backup. Paris should fall. We follow through. What a read from Tuba, and the bodies will follow. Killing spree for Nog. A dash in on the puppy. The puppy sent to the shelter, and the Skogs are standing tall off a double kill and a Gold Fury.
I mean, the Skogs are just picking apart the Food Fighters here one by one. I mean, look, that's a desperation play around the Gold Fury. The Food Fighters realize they're kind of just sitting on their hands. They're not really looking to make plays, and they end up losing 3 members. They drop the gold as well, kind of similar to that Queen Naga. And now 5 members stronger on this Fire Giant. It's only 20 minutes in, but it's 11-2 in the kills. And the underdogs are just picking apart the team that's just undefeated this entire season.
John Rowing into the pit, but already half health. The Skogs see that and raise you some damage. Down will fall John Rowing. Killing spree for Tuba. Kaveka is nearby. Kaveka cannot do much though. The bear runs him down. Tempo gets the Fire Giant for all 5 members of Skogs. The Food Fighters arrive after the fact. The timer 1K will escape. And just like that, that's why we check the kill feed. That's why we read the gold lead. The Skogs are out of nowhere running away with this game. Book, you said it early. This was the pace they wanted, and they were ready to take that pace and put it into 7th gear and simply drive away.
I mean, look at that gold graph. Just, it's even for most of it, and then just this crazy climb of numbers up to 6,000, 6,500 gold. Favoring the favoring the Skogs, excuse me. And yeah, they've just completely run away with this lead in a matter of minutes. It's just insane a little bit. There's not a lot the Food Fighters. I'm concerned for this team now. The gold lead is starting to swing in their favor. You're not in talk about game 2 territory yet. I think the Food Fighters can fight into this, but they have the tools. They just haven't really grouped effectively this entire game.
Kaveka just got a jump scare, Book. I think Kaveka is just dead. I'm sorry I even called it. Kaveka, my bad. Killing spree for timer 1K. So 3 for the Artio, 3 for the Tsukuyomi, 5 for the Apollo. And now we begin the tower clear portion of our programming for the Djungelskogs.
I hate this ADC build. I hate this new ADC build.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tuba. I was like, Tuba's cooking.
No, I love this. This Tuba build is, you know, I have some problems with it. It's fine. But you know what? The Devourer's Gauntlet is there. I'm okay with it. You got a lot of strength behind your build. He's actually decided to go not for a full Titan's Bane, instead go for the Blink. And actually now is deciding to ult.
Yeah, Parrish just got caught in the mid lane by Nog, and just like that, the squads pull it up. Okay, I pull up, and we're gonna kill Paris. A quick little drive-by, and Agni gets shot in the head.
Yeah, not much Paris can do about that one. Just trying to find
Jeez,
some
guys.
farm anywhere on the map. And honestly, that to me is a play that Sunprod needs to be doing. This entire game needs to be looking for plays where someone's pushed up on their own and ult them. Sunprod, to me, honestly, if they're playing nervous, it feels like they're kind of not looking for their crazy plays that they're known for. You know, the dive in 1v4 and then make a play happen and then, you know, get 4 kills off of it. But so far, Sunprod has just kind of sat back, kicked their feet up, and just let the game happen around them.
Wow, this is not how I anticipated game 1 going, and from what we excuse me, whew, I just got jump scared by my own breath. Book, this game's taking me apart. From what I talked to Kaveka about, also, this is not what the Food Fighters anticipated. I think the Food Fighters felt the most confident about game number 1, honestly. I think they came in thinking they were just gonna dominate and walk away with it. Some fear for Tempo. Got to play this one a little bit careful, but they'll be all right.
Yeah, big pickup there for the Talisman of Purification. Shoutouts to Tess with that spot. Hostile Puppy has to pop that one right away to avoid that Serb ultimate. And Skogs, they're going to use the rest of this Fire Giant to get themselves another Gold Fury here. Keep building that lead. But Food Fighters are grouped in the area. But with that ultimate down from Hostile Puppy and the Purification beats, I don't think they can contest. They don't feel comfortable looking for a play.
Yeah.
they just kind of spread the map, continue. I mean, they don't even feel comfortable splitting up right now. When the Apollo has ultimate, they just can't split up. They can't look for plays. You just get caught out on your own if you are on your own.
As
so
we
they
saw
just
the
have
poor
to,
Paris.
Right. So it's like, what do you do? Well, okay, we have to group up and we have to find farm. But when you're splitting as 5 members for a bit of farm, you're just not getting that gold and experience, to its maximum potential for the people that really need it. And honestly, the people that need it are the carries, the people that need to deal damage. John Rowing's level 20, but everyone else level 18, level 18, level 18, and level 16 for the support, which isn't the end of the world for Hostile Puppy. He could still, make plays as a support.
Sure,
But
yeah.
everyone else needs that farm.
And I want to get some kudos too, because we've been talking about a lot of players for Djungelskogs, but we haven't touched recently on Chunga Best. She got banned out and focused pretty hard in the draft, but on this MLF, sitting third in damage, has been present in every fight, so far sitting deathless alongside a lot of her team. That's a great spot to be in, especially when you got focused so hard in the draft. I mean, aside from just the ban outs, we even saw characters taken away, so it's a nice response for Djungelskogs, and I feel like a good standing too, because Book, I know you have experience with this, but I feel like when you're in a best of 5 setting, and this is something that PBM had talked to me about one time, and I really took note of it, considering who it was coming from. When you lose that first game, it's really important to not let it shake up your game plan too much and try to stick to a plan. But for Food Fighters, if it goes as bad as this is going, that's where you have to question yourself and try to not over-adjust and panic for their game plan, right?
I mean, that to me is why for a long time I thought game 2 was more important than game 1, because either when you win,
makes
you
sense.
keep the trend going, you're still being positive. When you lose, you either respond or you don't respond. Food Fighter is trying to respond to this Fire Giant.
I'm sensing a Hail Mary. Look at this Charon ult! Oh, just barely too late. Fire Giant goes to the Skogs. And it looks like they want to fight on Food Fighters. Leading the way is going to be Tuba. Could have a decent knock up here. Gets it, lands. Mez is 3.
Oh, I don't know.
Stands tall, damage back up. Chunga Best is low, but repositions behind the squad. The execute's not there. And John Rowan's rowing a boat to the graveyard. Prod lands down, does find one, but the moonlight pierces his heart, and the Skogs take another. Now up to the Phoenix that they can't yet hit. Tier 2 still standing. They wipe out 2 members of the Food Fighters. They do, however, the Skogs lose their mid laner.
I mean, why not go for that play 10 minutes earlier, right? Again, to me, it's the Food Fighters have just sat on their hands and haven't been able to make plays and have let this game get away from them entirely. And now it's just a little too far out of their control. They can't really contest. They're just too far behind. Tier 2 gonna fall as well, but actually Timer
just caught and shut down. That goes
That's
to
big.
Kavika as well. In this instance, if you want somebody to get a nice shutdown kill, I would definitely put the ADC towards the top of that list.
Yeah, absolutely. Kavika working towards this pen item that they desperately need. I gotta imagine that it's an Ob Shard, maybe a Titan's Bane though, with the way that they've kind of built though. Honestly, I don't even know what Kavika's next item is going to be. I feel like it could be anything in the item tree at this point with this build. But yeah, I mean, that's a nice little pickup there. And I got a little worried for the Skogs when Tuba was the one going in first. And this is something Apollo players sometimes do where they have a lead, they're feeling comfortable, they feel kind of unstoppable. And then Tuba goes in with Chunga Best paired alongside them in the ultimate. And that's both your carries going right to the back line. And going in first, like, that's not the best way to go about it. Thankfully, they don't get punished for it if you're a Skogs fan. But, I mean, that is something to note. Do the Skogs kind of let their lead play them a little bit here and keep looking for a bit of those risky plays? And Food Fighters, they can absolutely punish them for those plays if they keep kind of finding the farm where they can.
Gold Fury will go down. Third one of the game for the Djungelskogs. A big bonus too, being you see those purple effects on the chaos side of the screen. What are you looking at, Tess? You see something? Oh, okay. I thought you saw something. I got all excited. I was like, "Ooh, Tess, what do your eyes see?" 17-4. Goal lead, incredibly favoring the Skogs. But A lot of farm for Food Fighters, couple of mistakes in a row. As the siege begins on this Phoenix, I warn the Skogs and their fans, you cannot let a matchup like this slip out of your grasp, because oh my god, a loss at this point would be disaster. Blink, ult, pull, no good quite yet, but a good wall from Prod Book.
Yeah, ult does connect here from the Charon, but there's no follow-up immediately after, and this combo just hasn't worked out. Tuba uses the dagger as well. So everyone is vulnerable. Well, a lot of ults used on the side of Food Fighters. Importantly, they still have Newt and Thor ultimate.
Some sustain coming back for Timer 1K. Food Fighters having a fully healthy Phoenix could look decent for this fight. Blink into the back line, looking aggressive, looking for a kill, but getting stunned out and shut down. Potentially, no, Timer's still alive. Meanwhile, Food Fighters looking for the fight back. Now Timer goes down, but it took a minute. Nog's ultimate not going to find enough of a home. Rainfire hits Tuba. The follow-up from the wave. Tuba has to back up. The Skogs got to retreat. Djungelskogs, though, on the fadeaway retreat, does find a pick. Left Phoenix low enough, one auto can kill it. To the Skogs, make a play, blink, play, stun, kill, no kill for Nog. Sunprod can't get up though. Rampage for the Tsukiyomi off to the side. John Rowing tries to take the hero play and instead gets turned into a villain for the Food Fighters. 2 members remain. The Food Fighters try to hang on. It looked like they had a chance for the defense, but now the Skogs are in the throne room. But Book, they consider themselves too low and they will back up and head to base.
Yeah, smart call. The health bar's way too low here for the Skogs. They have to back off here, reset the map, and then go for another fight. Titan doesn't take any damage, so Food Fighters can feel comfortable leaving their base. They're not really concerned about a backdoor potential just yet. But as the game goes on, that potentiality could be there with the Apollo ultimate that can carry, 2 other people with him alongside. Go for a backdoor play maybe, but right now they just kind of have to reset, go for this fire giant. And honestly, shoutouts to Chunga Best finding Kaveka there. I feel like that was almost just really good for Food Fighters. They stalled against the fire giant. They took Tuba really low. Shoutouts to John Rowing for really denying this damage onto the Phoenix for this Apollo. And then that fadeaway from Chunga Best takes down Kaveka, and suddenly Food Fighters, their damage collapses and they can't contest that left-hand side bird anymore. And now pressure on the left-hand side that Food Fighters are going to have to send a member back to answer to. They don't have to do it just yet. Their Titan is full HP, so it can take a little bit of damage. But if Skogs play it right, they'll just kind of sit for a bit, wait and wait and wait till someone pops up on the left-hand side, and then rip this fire giant, even if there are 4 members in front of them.
On this fire giant, Book, how are your confidence levels in the Food Fighters making a defense? Because obviously they're going to try. The good Phoenix is down on the left-hand side. They are against insurmountable odds, but they're seemingly doing okay against those odds so far.
Yeah, I feel like the game for sure could have gotten a lot worse. That left-hand side Phoenix was actually a really solid defense there from the Food Fighters. A great wall from Sunprod. And then follow up as well. But again, to me, there's no crazy burst damage on this Food Fighters team, and that's where my concern is. If you have these big team fight tools, right? The Charon ultimate, the Thor ultimate, but where's the follow-up damage? It's kind of Newt 1 auto attacks that are abilities. It's kind of Agni bombs from a distance. That's not the crazy burst damage like the raw ult, the Merlin combo damage that can kind of shred but also play as burst potential. Skogs are on the objective. Food Fighters, I don't know. You asked me the question. I don't feel the most comfortable on their defense here to defend this objective. I almost wonder if they should give it.
Especially when your Thor is not here. EFG down to half health, blink in damage. Let's hit the go button if we're the Skogs, and let's maybe try to hit that comeback button if we're the Food Fighters. Look at the health, up in the air is Tuba. Chunga Best has to retreat, same thing with Tempo, going to evade the Charon ultimate. In the back line though, Tuba's doing the damage with Nog, and the Food Fighters back line's being eviscerated. Now Pod's here! Oh my god, his ankles are in pieces! He still finds the kill though. Now he can reset, but the rest of the team is being dismantled. Tuba with a double kill. 4 standing for Skogs. Prod alone in the mid lane. Alone for the team. Triple kill for Tuba. Sunprod now just has to escape. The Skogs stand tall. Book, it looked a little messy again, but somehow they pull through.
I thought Food Fighters were going to turn that one around. Every Agni bomb just connecting there in a small condensed corridor, but they're just too far behind. Sunprod finds no value with that ultimate. A beautiful blink there from the Morgan Le Fay. And Skogs, the team that went, you know, fully defeated, not undefeated, the exact opposite. They dropped every single series. Sunprod trying to defend, but he gets taken down by Nog, and Skogs will take game 1 in this best of 5.
5 gone, and we are done. Djungelskogs take game 1. Skog Nation is rising up today. The Djungelskogs are standing tall. What a start. The Twitch chat was right all along. Forget about records, I guess, in this instance. The prediction lands. The Djungelskogs look fantastic, and the Food Fighters have got to take the whiteboard out, and they might have to start underlining, maybe erasing a completely different end than I would have anticipated going into this game.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's necessarily draft. I think Food Fighters are just gonna have to say, guys, we gotta play the game. We gotta like make plays. We gotta look to do something. Like, okay, the game 1 jitters, they're out of the way. Let's lock in and let's play Smite game. Let's just do what we do best. That's win games, make plays around our jungler, around our mid laner, around our ADC. I do think some changes need to come through here in the draft here for the Food Fighters, but still just, I don't know, man. It's just not enough. I don't think the draft was a crazy issue. To me, it is just the on-map gameplay that wasn't enough.
I feel like one of the things that surprised me the most is how, well, first of all, Sunprod ending with 4 kills, all things considered, is kind of impressive considering the quiet nature of this game. I mean, for a while, I mean, even at the end, player damage looking rough, but still ends 4 and 5. I think what was surprising, though, was even when Prod and John Rowing, for that matter, were trying to make the most plays they could, it seemed like the Skogs were just unfazed. You know, they didn't fall into traps. They didn't let themselves get too distracted. There was a couple weird fights at the end, but I look at Nog and Tuba, and it seemed like between the two of them, at least one of them always had an answer. In this game 1, the answer was simply killing them, but an answer nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of dive, dive, dive. I mean, Tuba and Nog working together to just dive the back line, really put pressure there. I don't know, man. This Food Fighter team, again, to me, very reminiscent of Season 6 and Season 7 Worlds. And who took game 1 and then went on to win the whole thing? It was SK and PK, respectively. But
if you're at home, study up.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one. I do hope that Food Fighters are able to bounce back, though. To me, it is in their draft. They need to go back to, I think, a little more traditional gameplay. Let Sunprod just do Sunprod things on the Susano, on the Thanatos. Put Kaveka on an ADC that can hit objectives and kill frontliners, I think, is going to be a big deal. Because you saw in that game, Tempo, I want to give a shout out to them as well. The Blink Screech Gargoyle into the ultimate. Just doesn't let anyone pop their CC immune ultimates right away. They have to use the beads or the Aegis, whatever they have, to avoid that, CC or damage follow-up. But anyways, it was huge value at the start of every single fight, and Food Fighters did not have an answer to it.
They did not, but that's just game 1. This is a best of not 3, but 5 whole games potentially. We'll see how far we get on the other end of this break. We'll be right back on the Olympus Smite League.
They know the Jingwei's present. They managed to sidestep Pursue the Weak. Excellent work by Dishonored, but they still step into the Persistent Gust, and that's enough to get them off kilter. Can they find the last kill? One last tremor. The Shield Splitter takes him out. Dishonored's a mage officially. But a Heart Slash is in response, a Phantom Shell to keep them up, and now it's King Oceans, who's made their long-awaited arrival. Bari makes sure that Port Degree's safe, and the rest of the Angels aren't. King Oceans consumes their soul at the ult, but Aurora's now present. Justin, who's dead, and Hydra can only watch as Oceans tries to pick up the remains.
And Dest is on 1 HP. If you get hit with this, Hydra's gonna kill you.
Caprexecute, but amazing blowback from Death. The Rising Dawn nearly able to make away with their life. They finish the job. Hydra cakes down the Bari, turns tail to look for Aurora, the Root, the Solar Flail, the Abduct. Labubu gets the shutdown.
Ultimate up, lock and load, Raw.
we sniping? Is that the play?
Kaboom!
Gonna hit, but no good for a kill. Dest has the beats. Dest might die. Just standing there. Whoa, look at the damage from Dest. Trying
Holy-
to hold on underneath that
Help him!
Phoenix. Dest will get away. Axiom Speed respawns. There is no Tusky available for the Artemis. The whole team is here. That's a clone, Speed. That's a clone. Get away. The land from Sot. The damage. The stun. The death. The deicide. The crew kill 5. Respawns coming up. The Titan at half. Court Degree, first one here, looking for damage, looking to stall, keep the game alive. The Titan's still alive. That's
Good
a kill
kill.
on the Mario, bro. The game's
One more.
not done yet. Sticks J on the respawn, brings down Sud. Gonna look over at Wingman Ghost, and he's good as dead. The Titan lives, and the Banshees live on.
The game is saved, and we get to watch another.
House for generations to come. Thanatos in the sky. Apollo knocks on the doors of heaven and gets through the pearly gates. But now they're going to get an up-close and personal demonstration. An amazing nature's grasp. The scepter of dominion. Everyone freeze. A taunt. A cage. Can it keep him alive? No. Facehead's done.
Just happened. There was just a crazy combo. Port Degree in the face of happened. The two-man madness, and Styx finds Tagmir.
They're finding more than that. Golden gets their wings stripped. It's a triple kill.
We are back here on Olympus Smite game with game number not 1 but 2 between the Djungelskogs and the Food Fighters. Djungelskogs took game 1. That is correct on your screen. The underdog of all underdogs this season did take down the Food Fighters in the first game of our set. I'm still Malum, still joined here by Spirited Book, with Tess still, as a good friend of mine says, the eyes in the sky. As we continue on, best of 5. So still a lot of room to work with. Not a panic situation if you're either a Food Fighters fan or a Food Fighters player, Book, but not exactly the best first game either. Not the kind of look you want as we head into picks and bans.
Yeah, I feel like we expected a little bit more, and I think we expected a little bit more from certain players on the Food Fighters that we didn't really get to see. Just a little bit surprising there. And you got to imagine going into game number 2 in that first pick slot, Food Fighters, they got to have a plan. They got to have a response. And again, to me, this is, again, the reason why I thought game 2 was so much more important for a long time over game 1 in a best of 5. You either make the response to whatever happened in game 1, or you don't, you roll over and you lose. Food Fighters need to make adjustments, and they need to make adjustments right now.
The Aphrodite ban, however, stays consistent. We saw the Afro ban in the first game. I talked a little bit about it. It's something that we have seen go through, but it's still something that kind of makes me second guess it. Food Fighters being order side this game, so that would be Kaveka and them on the order side. So the Aphrodite ban stays consistent, focusing out Chang'e best. Necronomicon, tanks. It's a frightening look. The Yamoja alongside it. You know, we keep talking about Chang'e best in these drafts. It feels like there's a lot of targetization coming out. That's another character that is a bit of a split decision. It's in a couple of god pools for the side of Djungelskogs.
Yeah, I think it's a fine band so far. Chang'e best obviously rocking a very high, damage mid build for Yamoja. I feel like I'm a little bit surprised here. Just 3 mid bans for the Food Fighters. And look, Chang'e best, arguably not the best player on this team. I would put it towards the combination of Tuba, Nog, and Tempo. And Chang'e best, again, not a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination. A pretty solid performance, I would say. In fact, above average for sure. Lovely outplays. The worked really well with the team, worked really well with Nog, which I thought was very impressive to see. Just they worked really well together. But targeting out Chang'e best, to me, I feel like could be a mistake here for the Food Fighters, because you give options to Timer 1K like we saw last game in the RDO. You see characters like the Cerberus given over to Tempo, where they had those blink, screeching gargoyle silences into ultimates. There's no response to it, and the Food Fighters then couldn't play the game. So I do worry here about how much Food Fighters are investing into banning out the mid laner of the Skogs.
Speaking of investing into banning out, though, there is a Mordred Daji. The Mordred, I think you and I were actually together on a game in Smite Prime when we saw Sunprod lock in the Mordred. I was surprised by it, but then
AGL,
Sunprod, AGL, you're right. Sunprod proceeded to make it look really good, which tends to be the case with Sunprod. And I feel like it was a pretty strong game. I think the Sunprod play was good. I don't recall if it was how it played into the team itself, as this was a bit ago.
It was good at the beginning, and then as the game went on, it started to fall off, which, I mean, I feel like the Skogs would be okay with that. I feel like with how game 1 went, why not allow a similar style to that? Instead, it's the Humbots, which I think is a lovely response here for the Food
Is that
Fighters.
a soul? Okay, not that I'm excited for my own personal reasons to see Soul in game. Shout out Tess on the free cam, but we're locking in Soul in grand finals. What's the vibe there?
Safety, honestly. I mean, game 1 for Chang'e, I assume this is Soul mid. Honestly, I think it is going to be Soul mid. I don't know if it's going to be aspect or non-aspect, but to me, this is Soul mid here. Medusa in the ADC role. That to me fits more in style with Tuba, and I feel like Soul in ADC isn't as strong as Soul mid is right now. Not to say Soul is in the best spot right now, but again, just safety. And you look at the Skogs composition so far, it's very dive oriented again. It's Osiris that wants to play forward. Sobek wants to play forward. Medusa wants to follow forward. And Soul kind of is in this weird spot, but she has the safety tools in that Disapparate to play safe. Provide herself with self-peel to escape alive. Kind of similar to the Morgan Le Fay that we saw in game 1.
Bacchus Nuwa locked in for the side of Food Fighters. Nuwa, a character I feel like people, it sounds weird to say forget about, but in high level comp, I feel like we see it in slightly more niche scenarios than you do in lower level competitive games where it's slightly more common. I do like the Bacchus into the Medusa, though. One of my reasons for saying that is I feel like for Medusa's in her current state, where she's wanting to get so many uses out of those Viper shots and position a little more aggressively than what we're accustomed to after the most recent patch, it is nice to have such a crazy way to disrupt her. Now, the answer to that, of course, Book, I'm sure we all see the big problem. Djungelskogs have this insane ability to dive a team fight. They have this insane ability to survive a team fight, and now they have a Loki to simply torture you if you get away from the rest of it.
Malum, I'm gonna paint you a picture here.
Okay.
You've got
your
Humbots
canvas is
locked in.
there. I'm looking at it.
Yep. Humbots in the jungle. Big AoE team fight ultimate, huge setup. Jormungandr, knockups, pools, lots of AoE setup. Bacchus can initiate, dive in, knock up multiple people,
Right.
stun multiple
Soft
people.
brush strokes.
And then you throw the red paint over top of all that and draft Nuwa. To me, it's like so
Banksy.
much CC setup. Like, this is a dream game for a big burst mage that just follows right up. You know, a Ra would have been perfect here. Even a Yanis, something, Merlin even.
A little more classic.
Anything. And then the on command hits whatever Nuwa. I just... Skogs, when you look at their composition, it synergizes so well. It's Osiris, Sobek diving the backline, Medusa follows up, Loki diving in there. The Soul is just there to provide, you know, front to back to an extent and then play safe. That's the goal. It's a comp that synergizes so well together. And then you look at Food Fighters.
I'm looking.
And it's just, it's too anti-synergy with each other. I don't like this draft.
I do. Part of me wonders. Oh, actually, hold all those thoughts. Game is ready. Why wait? Let's head on to the battleground. Game number 2. And Book, I have our prediction numbers in for this game. Oh, Tess, it looks so beautiful. This is why you're the best production person this side of NA. That's my girl, Soul. Yippee! All right. Game number 2.
Right.
Food
Yeah.
Fighters, Djungelskogs. My name's Mel, joined by Spirited Book with Tess, Eye in the Sky. Food Fighters order, Skogs on Chaos. Twitch chat predictions, Book. They are in 52% Food Fighters, 48% Skogs.
Whoa.
So chat a little bit more in between in this game, leaning the way of Food Fighters getting their first game of the set, but still feeling conflicted.
At the very least, I do like that Paris has gone towards the int build, non-aspect. I feel like aspect has received a few nerfs now and just isn't where it used to be. As Sunprod's still waiting in base, I wonder what he's kind of waiting for. I think deciding where exactly he wants to path still, but maybe just taking his time. But to me, I do worry. Again, this composition to me feels just not as synergistic as this Skogs comp. You look at it, they have a clear identity of how they want to play. I'm just kind of interested to see, how do the Food Fighters decide to play this composition?
Looking across, doing our normal old-fashioned relic check, of course. A blink for the Loki, quite interesting to point out, into a team that I would say has a fair bit of CC in the form of Food Fighters. So Sunprod, if Prod were to find a Loki in the jungle, could have a pretty interesting 1v1 there, not just with the Fear No Evil, but if you're becoming more used to Smite 2 with that aspect, Hoon Bots is going to be stun bots in the middle of these fights.
Yeah, I think that might be, well, I think Nog's thought process here is, if I'm getting CC'd in general, I'm probably dead anyways. You know, I probably just shouldn't be in that position to begin with, as John Rowing.
Speaking of dead anyways, John Rowing dead anyways. First blood to Djungelskogs.
I mean, just not respecting the power of Osiris in this early game. You want to be kind of playing back for a bit on the Jormungandr until you maybe get first item, then can kind of poke and then clear the wave. I mean, just disrespect there. And look, Timer 1K has been solid throughout this playoff run.
Your guess is good as mine. Trade of damage in the duo lane as Book collects the thoughts. I wish everyone at home could see the face that I just saw from Book, the sounds I just heard Tess make in the booth. Everyone here is an absolute mess right now. All right, everybody breathe. Book.
Lock it back in. My apologies. Malum, it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those. I can feel it, man. This is gonna be one of those games. Just this one in particular.
Shaking off the game one.
Yeah. This is where we get silly goofy.
I'm down for some silly goofy. I can get behind that. I mean, with the pacing of game one, John rolling Phantom Shell, the Phantom Worm.
No.
Timer 1K, second solo bolo.
I mean, I don't even have words to that. I mean, that's just, again, it happened once. All right, you know, it happens. You know, we lock in. That's okay. It happens. We move on. But again, Timer 1K now level 5 has backed 2 components towards their first item. As Pluck does connect here onto Kaveka, but the Jing is incredibly safe.
We're Jingwei.
Yeah.
Dash in from Tuba, knock up in response. You see the relic usage there. Tempo turns to Kaveka, but has to turn back to help out Tuba. Right lane, looks like a Clown Fiesta is a brewing by the Firebrands. Lots of different faces there, but the Djungelskogs' presence seems to be that of the dominant side.
I mean, yeah, why not play to the right-hand side? You've already got yourself 2 kills for your soul laner. John Rowing, only level 4. Good stun from Sunprod, though.
Oh, but we're ulting. John Rowing does take a lot of damage from it. Kill on the left side. Hostile puppy, hostile no more. Mid lane, 1v1. Paris deals with the Disapparate, looks for the damage out of it, gets hit instead by the burst. Loki here, assassinates, but press 4. You're Nuwa, you're up, you're safe and alive.
Not enough damage just yet, but already a good heat check there, forcing the beads off of Paris, and Nog will have, you know, kill threat here once they get that ultimate back online, and already we're starting to see Skogs run away with this one, and again, I look at this Food Fighters team, and they just look nervous. They don't look like themselves. They don't look like they're playing with the same level of confidence they maybe had going into the series. I mean, this is 4 bolts on the line here for Sunprod. I feel like the Food Fighters really have to suddenly lock in right here, right now, if they want to, like, even come back in this series, because they're already down a game. Again, game 2, you have to respond here to what happened in game number 1.
Right.
And now your soul laners died twice, and now your supports died in the duo lane, and the junglers haven't even really been involved in either of those sequences of plays. And Nog, level 6 to level 5 of Sunprod, this Loki is starting to get into a pacing where they can be effective around the map and look to make plays.
I've already liked the play we saw, putting attention onto the Nuwa, as Paris has very clearly shown their hand that they're wanting to fight into this soul and get a little bit aggressive and dance around a bit. It feels like the writing's on the wall. I guess the answer then falls to, well, where's Sunprod going to go? So far, it's been quiet. Duo lane 2v2, make it a 2v1, because Kaveka just got sent to the Shadow Realm. But the good news is, Kaveka won't be there alone for long. 1 kill for each laner of the Djungelskogs. They're looking real good right now. 5-0 underdogs, looking like the big bad wolf right now.
And now a Gold Fury as well, going to go the way of the Skogs. It's a 1,500 gold lead, but it's going to get a lot worse, and the Food Fighters can't even get here in time. I mean, look, 2,500. Look at that gold just dipping in favor. Paris looking for a play, though.
You see Chunga Best having a hard time getting comfortable in this lane, but has some backup now in the form of Nog. Same can be said for Paris. The Sunprod is here, eyes on Nog. Gets the damage on with the monkey, looks for the stun too. Stun hits, but damage not quite there. Quite yet for the monkey.
No, and no follow-up damage there from Paris just yet. Doesn't have the ultimate online, because they just used it a bit ago, so they'll have it eventually. They did go Chronos Pendant first item, and that means they're going to be able to proc this Bluestone a whole lot more often. So nice look there. And curious to see what build Paris kind of goes towards on this Nuwa. I feel like we're seeing mid laners go towards these heavy proc items. Go towards the Chronos Pendant or the Soul Gem, and then Soul Reaver second, and then, you know, Obshard kind of third or fourth, maybe a Deso in there somewhere. these big proc builds for mid laners have been so impactful. Across the way, Chunga Best just going for the classic Book of Thoth into an eye, and likely a big power item second, probably the Spear of Desolation. So just power and CDR early for the Soul, and that's kind of all she needs. She's got some damage in her auto attacks, but not the same extreme as, say, other hunters as Paris.
Getting low-keyed, but has the fog. Assassinate. Beads is the answer. Paris, no ult. Bacchus flop, though, will certainly help you be protected. Get off my e-girl, says Hostile Puppy. Bacchus to Nuwa, more lore accurate-wise. Book, something I'm noticing. Tess just covered it before. Talking about Oathsworn Spear. I mentioned in the beginning ADC's testing builds. That was a build I saw Donut Doug testing the other night as Tuba getting dashed on under tower. Oh man, Kaveka almost with the solo under the tower, but now look who's on the way.
Oh,
it's
no.
Loki. Has the high gank. Kaveka does have ultimate online. Kaveka will be all right. Turns into a buff instead.
Smart. They know they're losing pressure in mid lane, so Nog goes towards the buff, gets that, and immediately is running back over here to the mid lane to try and contest this Moonlight Ritual. Is invisible, is looking for a play.
Turns into a decoy. Good answer on tempo. Forces out the ultimate from the Sobek. On top of that, a shell too. Maybe there's an answer. Good pluck back onto the Bacchus. Gets the tail whip under the tower. Some damage in response, but Nog can't quite kill the Bacchus yet.
Oh.
Add in a supernova
Oh.
to Paris combined with damage, but no kill. Paris gets away, and Nog's the one that goes down. That's how you answer back if you are the Food Fighters. One of their cleanest fights to date, but they're still throwing hands. Two have to retreat. They leave their support B. There's the stun. Still damage. Pluck in front of
Kaveka.
Chunga. Look who's here. Why is the ADC in my mid lane? Where's my ADC? Djungelskogs say. As they lose the support, the ritual also goes to Food Fighters. Signs of life from the blue side.
I was just going to say, signs of life finally as Tuba looking for Hostile Puppy, who gets caught lazy backing, but does have that flop to get away to safety. Food Fighters answer back finally, and look at this. John Rowing now looking for a solo kill of his own on the timer, who does have ultimate, so he should be okay.
Oh, got him, Remus! Got him with the eye! You know that feels real good to be John Rowing. Getting a revenge kill, getting some style points too on the Tuesday night. All right, we got a game. We've claps at home. We've got a game.
Okay, I know we said it was going to be silly goofy. I didn't realize that it was going to be Eye of Erebus killing someone for a solo kill on the right-hand side levels of silly goofy. That was rough. And a beautiful answer back here finally from the Food Fighters. Signs of life. They're starting to look for plays. Sun Prod getting active, and it looked really spooky. I thought that was a great sequence from Chunga Best. And Nog, again, just not enough damage just yet to really find that last bit for the kill. Kaveka gets dashed on.
It gets out, flop, Hostile Puppy looking for the stun. Paris has died to Loki in the mid lane.
Oh.
Explosion of Tuba. The Tuba is bent. The metal and the brass can't be fixed. The tier 1 tower might just fall with it, as Food Fighters aren't afraid to step underneath. Sunprod goes his way. Kaveka and Puppy will chill out. Prod's still lurking. A lot of farm to be had on this left-hand side.
He's got to find farm for sure. He's got to invade at the very least, because Nog is on the right-hand side invading Sunprod's jungle. So he's going to end up losing some of his own camps. He only gets the purple buff and likely going to back to base fairly soon and realize that a lot of his own jungle was taken away here by Nog. And not much you can really do about that if you're Sunprod. A nice look, sure, but again, I do worry about Food Fighters and how much they are now investing to this left-hand side. Sunprod is still over there.
See the jump away from Prod, separating now 2v1 in solo. But Big Worm activate! John Rowing will escape. Big ultimate down, though, of course, in solo.
A nice pull there as Nog has ultimate, and so can look to punish John Rowing here fairly soon. And shouts to Nog, where they realize that there's a play happening in left. They realize that their duo lane's kind of getting killed, and he, instead of rotating to the left-hand side to try and answer back or just clear the wave, makes a play in mid, does find Paris. And this Nuwa is 0-1, but is starting to find some important farm online. Tuba looking to be aggressive over here.
Pluck, some nice damage on the Hostile Puppy. What's interesting is the Loki taking the TP left. Could just be for farm, but Gold Fury, only one done so far, coming up on 12 minutes. Couple thousand gold for the Skogs over FF, as well as 2 pure kills. Some damage on the Chang'e Best, who has been comparatively quiet on the Morgan Le Fay. I call attention to it because if your God pool's getting focused out that much, it's worth talking about. But let's talk gold, as Djungelskogs are near, rotating between mid and gold, looking to be assessing their options. Supernova, yeah, the burst, jump in from prod, stun, connects, damage, real good. Chang'e Best is gone. Now rotation out from John Rowingbook.
Yeah, not much that Food Fighters can really do to dive that tower just yet. Not enough items, but a big rotation there from John Rowing. And a big pick in the mid lane on Chang'e Best. Just too much over-aggression now from the Skogs. They're the ones that are letting the lead really play them, where they were just feeling so confident. They just took game 1 off of a team that they had no business taking a game off of, one could argue. They didn't win a single series throughout the regular season. Kveka has to be careful. Tuba lurking.
Dash, damage, ult, airstrike away, so Kveka is out for now. You notice Tempo moving with a quickness, rotation coming from the Bacchus as well. Nobody else near to join for this, so a good old-fashioned 2v2. Do we dive the tower? Puppy shows face. Tempo with Tuba. They'll relax. Everybody breathe.
Yeah. For a moment, I feel like we're right around the corner for another big team fight. And actually, some prod.
Okay, he's good. He's good. He's good. He's good. See, we're getting nervous. We're getting nervous.
I don't know. Nog hovering like he wants to go for this. He's got ultimate.
Just peeking, though. Loki things.
I mean, why not? Paris doesn't have beats. I mean, that is a prime target. You have the ultimate between the Loki and the Soul. We saw how much damage Chang'e Best is already doing on this Soul. I feel like Paris, if they overstep, even at the edge of their tower, if they get, plucked back or even ulted by Nog. Actually, shout outs to Nog, actually, on this left-hand side, going for an invade. Has done a really good job of just keeping ahead of Sunprod just a little bit.
Airstrike's down. Kveka caught, but Nog not going to take the fight. Aegis is up, but no ultimate for the Jing. I'm sure if Nog knew that, we would have seen hyper-aggression on that play.
Yeah, probably is. Again, I come back to Kveka and their builds. They're just kind of odd all the time. Kveka's ADC builds are always different than the standard norm. And the Devourer's Gauntlet makes sense, but now a Musashi's dual sword, yeah, which we sometimes see as Kveka could be in trouble here.
See the dash away. Sunprod's here for some backup. Airstrike in. We're getting aggressive. Bacchus on the way, but you see the distance already covered by the Skogs. So you'll take that if you're Food Fighters, but I worry about the ultimate down again for Kveka.
I mean, we've already seen the damage that Tua was able to bring out there in their combo. The, Viper shot into dash, into the spit, and then pop the ultimate. And Kveka was able to respond with an ult away. But Kveka doesn't have that damage to really respond to that combo just yet. Really wants that Deathbringer to be able to do that. But doesn't have a ton of attack speed. Has gone for this Musashi's dual sword, like we mentioned. Just provides a bit of movement speed and a little bit of strength, but no real attack speed. Likely going towards this Hydra's. Across the way, you can see Tuba's really building towards these ability damage, but also getting a couple of auto attacks in the fight that play more of a setup style. These slows in the jungle from the auto attacks from this Medusa will be impactful onto tanks, onto carries, whatever. And in tandem with Chang'e's Best damage, where you want to be kind of keeping people in place. I like this. I like this idea here.
Queen Naga should go down here, left side of the map, Gold Fury up. Kveka will clean this one up, but the Skogs, they're on the Gold Fury, and it looks like the answer will simply not be there, at least not yet. Sunprod down to a quarter, Naga aware, looking for going in, but yeah, can't. Paris with the ult, Gold Fury low, worm in from John, good call out into the backline. The disruption from the Yorm is making it to where the gold isn't easy to get. The Gold Fury goes down, the hostile puppy, and the Food Fighters take it away.
Now they got to run. Pluck off the mark from Tempo, but no immediate response there. And so they are able to get out with the Gold Fury, and just an awkward drop there from the Skogs. They kind of get what happened to them, or what, happened in game 1 happened to them, where, Food Fighters were the ones pulling Gold Furies in front of them. And then when it's low HP, they have to drop. And when it's too low, you just got to commit when it's that low. And look at this rotation, though, from Timer 1K. Wrap around the backhand side.
And Paris able to secure the Pyromancer, so it got scary. But it still goes the way of Food Fighters. But why not go to another objective as the mid lane capture point is up and able to be secured as the Food Fighters are the first ones on it. And it looks like the contest will be a little bit more calm this time as 17 minutes crosses. The Food Fighters sit in a gold lead, one of the most comfortable spots they've been in this set so far.
Yeah, finally they have a lead this series, and I'm kind of a little bit perplexed why Skogs are electing to drop. Look, you don't get the gold, okay. But now you've dropped Pyromancer, and now the Moonlight's favor as well. That's just objective after objective after objective. You've lost 3 in a row. And Food Fighters, yeah, they have not a crazy gold lead, absolutely a lead that they can fight into. But it still just favors the Food Fighters. And it's a lead that Skogs, I feel like, could have looked to fight into.
The experience difference is notable too. Every time I see this experience difference when Tess is showing us, I'm kind of surprised by the amounts it's been. I guess it makes sense with the way we're seeing Food Fighters farm, but you've pointed out a few times now, like at the moment, how Nog has been aggressive in the jungle, so you would think that would equal a little bit more at least. Ult, assassinate, Aegis is the answer. Kaveka does have ult, so the risk is minimal to the ADC of the Food Fighters.
Still an important relic pulled off the table here for the Food Fighters, and Nog and Tuba can absolutely punish this Jingwei. Tuba himself can just punish the Jingwei for it, and John Rowing and Sunprod teaming up here on the right-hand side. Nothing that Timer can do with their jungler over there on the left. John Rowing all of a sudden has himself a gold lead, and not even just a gold lead, an experience lead here in the solo lane between the two solo laners. As I mean, look, John Rowing started this game going 0-2 to solo kills against Timer 1K, and all of a sudden gets himself a solo kill off of an Ire Rebus proc, and then is right back in the game. Was a huge part of that Gold Fury steal, by the way. The ult in, you don't often see Jormungandr's ult in aggressively. You kind of let them walk up, knock people up, and then pop the ultimate. Ulting in there was the right call, and it net themselves the Gold Fury in that moment. Now Skogs need to look for something, because I feel like they're the ones just kind of sitting on their hands here the last few minutes.
Look out, Tuba. The petrifying gaze won't be enough. The stun, the damage tower. Wait, hang on, Tuba! Dash is good! Down goes one. Can't take the full 1v2. But Tuba taking Sunprod with him to the grave. I didn't expect that when we saw the gank.
Worth, I feel like Tuba knows that they're dead there, and hold that. Skogs pulling Fire Giant here. I mean, Kaveka's not going to be here in time. This is a 3-on-4.
It's already down to half. Look at that damage being spread to Hostile Puppy early on. Loki ult gets the stun. Now caught, so execute. Tempo with the kill on Hostile Puppy. The Skogs will group up as a squad and walk over to the Pyromancer. Food Fighters send John Rowing, and that's actually enough to deter the Skogs.
They just don't feel comfortable fully committing with Kaveka in the area. They are going to try and contest, though.
Tempo looking for the flank, but oh my goodness, Paris just got blown up in the short term. Kaveka, realizing he can't take on Timer, gets the ultimate away to reset. Pyromancer still the focus, up down from Sunprod, no good. Rowing trying to slow it. Tempo gets the Pyro away from the Food Fighters. John Rowing gets aggressive, gets some poke, but he'll have to get out. So the Skogs walk away with the heist of the Pyro Bomb.
A nice play there from the Skogs. I mean, shoutouts to Chunga Best walking forward with that Disapparate, doing damage in such an AoE, condensed AoE corridor there. Does so much work with this int build, and now Skogs are the ones ripping the objective. No, Tuba calls it off. And we'll go towards this Fire Giant. No, you can see the comms are kind of happening. They're discussing it as John Rowing in trouble.
Ult, stun, extra damage when it's a Yorm. You see the chase. On the way is Tempo. There's the block for the stun. But Kaveka turns the corner for backup. Gets the autos by dash on Nog, who's low. Tempo kills Rowing. But Nog is evading everything from Kaveka. You can't find him when he goes to the darkness. And away Nog will go. Who's up next, though? Paris taking a lot. Hunted down. Timer 1K low. Up, down. That'll kill Paris. But you'll fall, too, for thinking you could. Mid lane? Sunprod away. Wild fight in the jungle.
Yeah, that was crazy, and you're starting to see the issue a little bit with this Jingwei build, where as soon as Timer 1K pops that Nemean, there's nothing Kaveka can do about it unless he's gonna, pump in auto attacks into this Osiris. He's gonna end up killing himself in that play, so he has to kind of just hold off, wait for that to run out, or at least till it gets, the duration starts to run out a little bit more. where he's not throwing all the auto attacks and taking damage in return. And all the while, Timer 1K could just run down this Nuwa, and if Paris has used the Clay Soldiers aggressively, then they can't use them for peel, and so expect to see Timer 1K to continue diving this backline and look towards Kaveka. And this build from Tuba is getting more and more interesting by the minute. Bracer of the Abyss here for the Medusa, and now likely a Titan's Bane, so just weird int and strength, and now Nog!
Too much damage. Double ultimates committed, Loki and Medusa, and it was too much to stand up as if you're Paris. Kaveka arrives, instantly gets half health by the stellar burst from Chang'e Best.
I mean, just so much damage. This Book of Thoth, Rada Tahuti, Obshard, and throw in a Blink as well to be aggressive or play defensively on this character. And Chang'e Best is swinging, only at 10,000 damage so far, but I feel like now that they got the items, as Sunprog goes in,
Gold Fury low, 3k. Here's an attempt for the steal from Hostile Puppy. Beads a little bit late, still got knocked around. Kaveka now here too. Gold, 1,000 health. Sunprod can't get to it. The Gold Fury goes to the Djungelskogs. Tuba with the credit. The Food Fighters will not force the issue this time.
smart play.
I said force the issue off the bingo card.
Foo Fighters might look to force the issue themselves. They're running towards this fire giant. No, instead it's the pyromancer. I was kind of a little concerned of like, why not go towards that fire giant? You got the crit online here for Kaveka swinging with the damage, but still just not enough to really go towards, I think, this big objective just yet. I feel like Kaveka now has to lean a little bit towards some attack speed. No, and they need a Titan's Bane, actually. I feel like this might be just more of a full strength build here for the Jingwei instead of some attack speed built in. Maybe could go towards a Demon Blade at some point, but I wouldn't be surprised. Kaveka is usually one of those players. It's Hostile Puppy on his own.
Ooh, gets to jump away just in time. But no, you're on it. I mean, with the Hydras combined with the double crit already, if on the Hydras proc, you're hitting for 1 million, but you've got to get the proc.
Yeah.
And you are going to find yourself a little bit lacking on attack speed. Jingwei does have the stim, but notably not one of the easier stims to utilize mid-fight compared to other ADCs in Smite.
Yeah, I mean, Rama, you pop the 2, and then immediately you just have the attack speed. Versus Jingwei, you kind of got to throw the 1 nearby and then walk by it. Don't have to knock yourself up like you had to in Smite 1. Just kind of have to walk by that whirlwind. But again, Kaveka likely going to go towards just a full strength build, I imagine. Not really have any attack speed. Has that starter item at the very least, so some attack speed will be there in that Gilded Arrow once it's upgraded. But again, I do worry a little bit for the objective and consistent damage here for the Jingwei, especially now that Timer is in a really good spot. They've got that shell upgrade here in the form of an active item. The Aegis as well. This Osiris is going to be near unkillable as this game goes on.
As the game goes on, but where are we in the game? 25 minutes. And if you've been hanging out and you remember Djungelskogs dominating game 1, has not been the same story. They're certainly still looking great, but up by 5 kills. When you compare that to gold, the Skogs just about 1,000 ahead. It's just not as dominant as we've seen. Food Fighters have looked really strong at points, but as most normal Smite games come down to, this is going to come down to late game objective play, plain and simple, which I feel like, Book, what we've talked about with Food Fighters is you usually would want to be there, but I look at the side of Djungelskogs, and my goodness, the kind of team fight they bring is a little horrifying. And this is where what you spoke about in picks and bans to me, the kind of disorganization and the lack of synergy between Food Fighters comp could really show up to be the most problematic.
Yeah, I think that is where it could be as a big knockup.
Oh my god, Chang'e Best just got popped. Never mind, maybe I'm just wrong. My goodness, Kaveka's doing numbers. There used to be a soul there. That is the only kill. But wow, was it an impactful one.
I mean, look, you don't have to worry about the, lack of cohesion if you're with your composition. If you just jump in and kill a carry right away, Chang'e Best cannot stand there. If they get CC'd for a moment, even if they have Aegis, they get CC'd, they can't play.
Oh, nice.
Walt will spot this Loki out.
So Paris will know, and with the minions, you're pretty safe. Fight breaking off to the right? No, not quite. Pyromancer is the pull. That was a really, really good Nuwa ultimate. It looked like Tanog was going to at least be able to TKO Paris, if not get the full kill. But instead, it turns into a Pyromancer for the Food Fighters. And they're pulling fire.
Why not? Why not? I mean, Djungelskogs has just spawned. Kveka is shredding this fire, but timer is here.
What's the play? Who goes where? Kveka, eyes on, almost 2 shots. Nog, but gets plucked into the petrifying gaze. But a perfect Aegis might be enough to keep Kveka alive. The food fighters, they collapse and they find one, but not before Djungelskogs does turn it back. A 1-for-1 so far with the health bar disadvantage for the Skogs. You gotta walk away, especially when Kveka is swinging the way that he is. The food fighters on to fire. The Skogs looking for an answer.
Djungelskogs is on their own here. No ultimate for the soul, but she's got Blink ready to go. Aegis as well. They can try and get in here and steal this, but it's getting too low.
And you've just used your Stellar Burst. Now focus on from rowing. Pluck, 1K, do we get in? Paris gets the fire for the food fighters. The Skogs, will they look for a fight? You can see the step up from Tempo, but the knock up allowed Kveka to do a metric ton of damage. The Skogs have to slow it down, so Fire Giant will be on 4 members of the food fighters.
If I'm Tempo and I just took those couple of auto attacks, I'm immediately investing into a hide enemy or some form of defense here to deal with Kveka. I feel like the Jingwei's just gotten out of control now all of a sudden where, look, play it aggressive on the Nog, and usually carries can't play like that. You have answers to punish, and we saw that potential punish in the form of Tempo and Tuba, but then Sunprod showed up with a big ultimate, forced Tuba against the wall, didn't let him get to play because he has Aegis not beat, so he can't immune that CC. And then Tuba didn't really get to play, died immediately. And yeah, you trade jungle for ADC, but at this stage of the game, that's so worth. Sunprod did everything he needed to do. He went to the backline, he used his ultimate, got a kill onto Tuba, killed the carry, had his carry still alive, so they could do the objective after. Now Skogs all of a sudden at a potential for a significant deficit. It hasn't gone out of control just yet. It's just 1,000 for the food fighters, but there's a lot of standing gold on the map here. 3 tier 2 towers, a gold fury as well, and a pyromancer that's due to spawn, but Skogs doing the good job of splitting the map.
A few years ago, I was casting the Smite Draft League playoffs, and Kveka was on a team that was very much favored to win the grand finals. Rat Milk was the jungle. I believe Tegvir might have also been on the team.
Race?
Did not come down to it. A pluck of damage. Sunprod eviscerated, to say the least. But is it a base race? 2 have already backed to defend for the food fighters.
Nog is backing.
Food fighters up to the tier 2, just not going back. Right Phoenix for the food fighters, the current focus. The Skogs, their left Phoenix under siege, about the same distance so far. Down to a quarter, the left Phoenix for the Skogs will die. The food fighters, do they push? No, they do not. The Skogs, do they begin their retreat? They also have to retreat. Timer 1K caught by the minions. Not quite dead, but the chase is on. John Rowing, no ultimate. Timer 1K low. Is there a cutoff play here for Jing and Bacchus? You see them taking the high route on the map. So the base race is slowed. 1 Phoenix secured. Timer 1K soon to die. A scary moment in this game book, but not quite as chaotic as it looked for a minute.
I mean, Chuba just doesn't have the damage with this build to really take down Phoenixes. I mean, lacks a lot of that attack speed that we kind of mentioned previously, and that's how you shred objectives like towers. Nog flanking here.
This could be really bad. Will pop up on the minimap, of course. But how much does that matter? I mean, you're taking away the minion wave here, so this is exactly what the Skogs would want in this instance. The food fighters now will get the tier 2, sure, but this Fire Giant has gotten them a Phoenix. They lose half of their own. It wasn't as detrimental as I kind of thought it might be, Book.
Yeah, I think the biggest deal is that Phoenix on the left-hand side, though. You're just setting yourself up for the next... Yeah, the next Fire Giant is going to be that much harder for the Skogs to have to deal with, where they have to send 1 member back to clear the wave. They don't have a global ult to really answer when they go to defend that left-hand side, and so food fighters can just stay 5 men strong around that Fire Giant and just kind of take their time around the objective, wait for the minions to push. And that objective will be spawning soon, and it's getting closer and closer to that EFG territory as well.
I like the hover from Tess here of the runic bombs, because if there is a risk of a base race and you're hoarding runic bombs, my anxiety levels start to go up. And Creed already raised my blood pressure on Sunday. So if Athens could not do the same, That'd be cool. Too old for that.
Yeah, we're starting to reach Unk territory, Malum. I feel like these teams they keep stressing us out too much, man. Like I'm past my prime, you know. I'm trying to wind down, you know, look to retire in my casting era now, and you know, put the playing days behind me, and now just get to watch Smite game. Yeah, that.
Sorry, sorry.
Was
that my out loud voice?
Yeah.
I'll let Hydra tear you apart on that one on the watch along. Yeah, I'll let Hydra. I'll let Homeboy finish you off there.
Yeah.
32 and a half minutes, 10-14, and the Food Fighters sitting okay with a gold lead. They just had Fire Giant. It has fallen off. Fire Giant on the right-hand side of the map, the big guy, the big objective. That'll be up soon. The Skogs are there first, but they are missing their duo side, Phoenix, which is the, quote, good Phoenix. That is the toughest Phoenix to have down when you're trying to defend Fire Giant. That's where Food Fighters want him. Kveka, like I said, has had the chance to be the hero of teams that were supposed to be the favorites. More of the same from Kveka here could give Food Fighters a game back. Skogs start the Fire Giant first. It's at half health. It is now EFG. And we're in the game, all right. Food Fighters in, looking aggressive. You see Kveka dashing forward. Damage on. Changa Best gets the fire. Petrifying Gaze. A lot of damage. The dagger somehow works out, but Kveka is still swinging. Those autos hit so hard, but now you're caught. You're focused. Nah goes forward, but gets slowed down. Sunprob was able to use the time lock. Aegis gets the stun. Kveka hits for 1,000 for a double kill. Groups back up with the squad. Triple kill for Kveka. Who's up next on the chopping block? Is it? Yeah, it's a quadra kill for Kveka. The Jingwei is unstoppable, and the Food Fighters clean house.
Yeah, Skogs just falling apart here when it matters most. They get the Fire Giant, but then they can't focus out the Jingwei. They don't have the tools to really run at her. Only Changa Best, and there are 3 low health bars, but the Jingwei has full.
Here we go. You see the attempt to just slow things down. Fear no evil. Fear Kveka. 5 dead. It's a deicide, and the Food Fighters will get the mid Phoenix. Staggered respawns. Tempo up. Lone defense. Throne room are the Food Fighters. A scepter of Dominion to slow it down. Tempo stops 1. You gotta stop more. Nog about to respawn. 1K on the Titan. The Titan falls. Food Fighters even up the series.
1-1 and signs of life from the Food Fighters, and it's on the back of the ADC Kveka. What a game for the Jingwei. The full crypt build, the blink as well to get to the back line and just one-shot people. And I mean, that's just how you can play that character right now. You just get to the back line. You don't have to worry about killing the tanks if you just kill their damage instead.
Plain and simple, right?
5 head play,
Plain and simple. You know, I'm really glad I brought up the DM with Kveka earlier. I asked for a penta, I got the quadra, but oh damn, that was a little bit worth it. I always know it's a good play when the only thing I hear in my ears is my chair 2 of my production both gasping. That's how you know it's a banger of a play. Kveka sets up the dream for the side of Food Fighters, and they tie us up 1-1, which means, you know what that means? Not a sweep in a top division grand finals.
Yeah, not a sweep, and we have potential to go the distance. A lot of important characters taken off the table, I feel like, for both teams. I mean, that Jingwei being taken away, I think, is a big deal for Tuba and Kveka as well. I mean, again, the Vault bans are going to come up big here. Sunprod as well, and the Hanbots, to me, didn't have the usual flashy performance that we often see from Sunprod on this character, but still just kind of did his job of being the setup man with those Fear No Evils, pushing Tuba against the wall, you know, denying counter damage from the side of the Skogs in those team fights where you can't really answer this Jingwei because you're getting CC'd. And again, I look at these Skogs relic choices and I worry the fact that Tuba and Changa Best now 2 games in a row are really invested on this Aegis pickup against high CC characters. I think against the Hanbots, you just have to go beads.
I agree with that. It does. Going back to an earlier point you made, this does feel like a different Sun Prod, but I do go back to a Bard's College Finals that I cast on OSL with FDOT a couple of years ago now, where Sun Prod kind of was having a similar set. It wasn't the Sun Prod we're used to, and then I think it was game 3 where an Wheelish came out and Sun Prod kind of
Oh,
came to life, so to speak, and looked like the Sun Prod we're more accustomed to seeing. Not saying it'll be in a Wheelish exactly, but that does kind of open the door for Sun Prod to get a little bit more comfortable. When you've had Kaveka hitting the way he hit and the squad performing the way they did in game 2, we still have more games to go. Game 3 is here when we get back. We continue our grand finals in Athens, so you know the words, don't go anywhere.
They know the Jingwei's present. They managed to sidestep, pursue the weak. Excellent work by Dishonored, but they still step into the persistent gust, and that's enough to get them off kilter. Can they find the last kill? One last tremor. The shield splitter takes him out. Dishonored's a mage officially, but a heart slash is in response. A phantom shell to keep them up, and now it's King Oceans who's made their long-awaited arrival. Bari makes sure that Port Degree's safe, and the rest of the Angels aren't. King Oceans consumes their soul at the ult, but Aurora's now present. Justin, who's dead, and Hydra can only watch as Oceans tries to pick up the remains.
And Dest is on 1 HP. If you get hit with this, Hydra's gonna kill you.
Execute, but amazing blowback from Death. The Rising Dawn nearly able to make away with their life. They finish the job. Hydra cakes down the Bari, turns tail to look for Aurora, the Root, the Solar Flail, the Abduct. Labubu gets the shutdown.
Ultimate up. Lock and load, Raw.
Who are we sniping? Is that the play?
Kaboom!
Gonna hit, but no good for a kill. Dest has the beats. Dest might die. Just stand there. Whoa, look at the damage from Dest. Trying
Holy-
to hold on underneath that
Help him!
Phoenix. Dest will get away. Axiom Speed respawns. There is no Tusky available for the Artemis. The whole team is here. That's a clone, Speed. That's a clone. Get away. The land from Sot. The damage. The stun. The death. The deicide. The crew, kill 5, respawns coming up, the Titan at half. Port Degree, first one here, looking for damage, looking to stall, keep the game alive. The Titan's still alive, that's
Good
a kill
kill.
on the Mario, bro. The game's
One more.
not done yet. Sticks J on the respawn, brings down Sun. Gonna look over at Wingman Ghost, and he's good as dead. The Titan lives, and the Banshees live on. Hello! We missed you. Did you miss us? Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. But we're back. Olympus Smite League. Game, not 1, not 2, but 3. But what's important is nobody can take this set home this game. It is not a sweep. We are out of sweep territory. The set is tied 1-1, as you see at the bottom of your screen down there. Djungelskogs and Food Fighters. It's looking like a good one. My name is Malum. I'm joined by Spirited Book. Tess is on production today. Shout out to Sparked Out as well for handling the moderation in the Twitch chat. Be nice to Sparked in there. And thank you, the viewer, hanging out. So let's do a little bit of a checkup on some stuff. We've gotten through a lot. We talked earlier about a lot of stuff. So let's do a little reminder. But you know, Book, there's a cool thing we've got. Let's take a look at some of the regular season stats that these players had coming into this matchup. Because, Book, there was a lot to break down as our production pulls it up here in a moment. We can also take a look at the roster in the short term too, just to get a reminder of who we've got. Take a look at the regular season records, because the thing, Book, to me, Djungelskogs are not playing like the 8 seed.
No, they're kind of playing like a team, you know, maybe sitting around like 4 that can just take games off of anyone, which is crazy because I think that shows how close this past Athens season has been, where, you know, anyone can take a game or series off of anyone, and it's so close, and it is a matter of, do you come up with your best game plan at the right time?
Well, picks and bans are upon us. We're moving at the speed of sound. If you notice how fast the teams are drafting, I think to a very wise man, I can't believe I'm calling him a wise man. I think the 2 very wise men, Inbound and Hazer, talking about how, I know. I hope he doesn't see that. Thinking about and talking about how when teams are drafting quick like that, it's because things are just going to their plan. And I think from a player perspective, earlier I name dropped PBM as they're genuinely flying through. I name dropped PBM. During the Vegas tournament, I got to hear a little bit of the draft, and then also during some of the filming, I kept listening to the teams talk about their drafts. And the teams genuinely had everything planned out that they wanted, every little way it could go. So when the teams are really prepared when you're seeing what we're seeing now. The first lock-in is Daji for the Djungelskogs. I feel like a big part of that, Book, is they might not want that to go to Sun Prodigy.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking between games about how Sunprod doesn't look like themselves. They're not playing that hard carry style that we're used to seeing from them. And now you've taken away the Awelix. You've taken away the Daji as well, not only for this game, but the series as well. Sunprod going to have to go towards something different. And I do think Sunprod needs something that they're kind of known for and comfortable on. Because, look, a great game from Kaveka. A solid carry performance for sure. Not going to take that away from them. But
yeah,
there's no other character in the game that can do what he just did on Jingwei. There's, you know, Artemis can't do that. Anher can't do that. No one can do what he just did.
I think the closest that comes to mind is something like a ROM, you know, and even obviously that is not exactly the same thing. It's just a similar vibe.
Yes, that will do.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're in Vault
Yeah.
Bans. Vault Bans mean as a character's played, you can't play it. All those black and white gods below us, under me, under Book, those are all things that can't be played. So I don't know why exactly we're drafting like we're in Game 5 already. Maybe we're trying to save some strong picks since this game is not a clinch game anyway for either side. But first pick Sylvanas is one thing. The first pick Anubis. And Anubis is strong right now. I know a lot of people have said that. I know Benny Q was standing on business about Anubis in this most recent patch. But just surprising to see it lock in first for Food Fighters.
Yeah, it's really telegraphing your composition here for the food.
I wish chat could hear Tess sometimes. As the Hoyi's locked in, we just hear, oh shoot, come through our ears.
You know it's going to be a banger pick when you hear, oh shoot, and then a character gets locked in. This is crazy here for the Food Fighters, but I think I've figured it out. Oh no, actually, I'm not sold on it just yet.
Are we giving Sunprod Hoyi and
Yeah.
giving... Okay, so Kaveka is rocking the Ishtar.
Yes.
I have a lot of thoughts on that pick.
I also have thoughts.
Continue, yeah. You go first, because mine's lore, yours is analysis.
I think... I think it is a...
Oh, and a
okay pick
Cernanos?
right
Oh my
now.
god. Hang on,
But
I gotta get my Excedrin ready.
I think it needs a lot of help as a character. This has always been my issue with Ishtar. She is not a self-sufficient character. She needs a lot of tools around her to allow her to play the game. Sylvanas can kind of fill that role, but it's not to the same extreme that you would like for this Ishtar. I do worry for Kaveka this game, and is that okay? Is this Anubis mid? Because I'm not sold that it is just yet. I do think it is with that Kabrakan lock-in. I think the Anubis would have a terrible time into this matchup. So I do want to lean that this is Anubis mid and then Pele in the soul lane. That's going to go aspect. But there is a world that this is Pele mid and then Anubis in the soul lane.
Aspect Pele also in play, something that's been widely considered very broken at the moment. One thing I love for the Food Fighters is one of the best things that Anubis brings, and something that Benny Q was speaking about, was how much sustain is there, but the sustain that meshes with damage. And Sylvanas, obviously sustain. Pele, obviously sustain. So you've got the Hou-Yi in jungle. Sun Prods look nasty on it. We've been wanting Sun Prod to fight. That Hou-Yi wants to fight in the jungle. You add to that a sustaining team that's going to push forward and kind of go about their business as they please. And somehow you still... this draft for me from Food Fighters just looks so fun, but Skogs have this draft that feels like it counters all these cool nuances that the Food Fighters have selected. I was getting there, guys. I'm sure somebody's already mad at me at home, but trust the process.
I kind of agree. I do. Look, Food Fighters, their composition looks like a game that would be fun in a casual game, right? And look, Sunprod is comfortable on this Hou-Yi. We've seen him pop off on this character so many times now. As an answer to Daji, I mean, no CC immune ultimate. You're going to have to use your dive bomb very defensively this game. The Naja as well, that's going to be going into the support role, is my biggest kind of, I think, question mark for this Skogs draft. I imagine it's there to just try and pull beads or try and pull the Anubis or Sylvanas out of the fight, because you take those two tools out of the fight, or even the Pele as well would be a great target. And then the Skogs can surge forward and play to kill the backline, because that's a lot of kind of peel tools out of the way for the fighters if either of those characters get taken out.
Well, you can stop hearing us yap about the picks and bans and start seeing them play out. On to game number 3. Oh my god. You ever just wish you were tower floor? I do. My name's Malum, joined by Spirited Book and Tess, bringing us these fantastic camera angles. And if you haven't had a Malum moment before, that's your first. Welcome to the club. I hope I'm not in too much trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, to the series.
Yeah. the DMs from Godsend are going to spam tonight, I fear. Game number 3. 1-1 is the score, so no one can walk away with the $2,500 cash prize quite yet. We got our picks. We have our stuff across the board. And as you can hear from my esteemed colleague here in the booth, there's already some surprises causing the ooh.
Sunprod went Gilded Arrow on the Hou-Yi jungle, which is kind of surprising. I mean, Hou-Yi jungle has pretty solid clear already, but just more gold in the early game, more attack speed. It's such an interesting idea here for the Hou-Yi. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like we've seen a bit of changes to the jungle starters where they are kind of a little more important in the jungle. But I mean, this is just going to mean Sunprod's going to have some early attack speed and a little bit more gold gainage in the jungle.
It's going to be so much to follow and track. This duo lane gives me a headache. That's why I got the Excedrin out, gang. But I'm pumped to see it. At some point in this game, we'll have time for me to go into the Kaveka Ishtar lore I want to talk about. But this early game looks like we're going to be tussling across the board.
Yeah, no real surprise. I mean, this soul lane as well, I think, is very important. Pele solo, we haven't seen a whole lot of it as of late. Her aspect did receive a pretty significant nerf, and immediately Pele solo just kind of dropped off, and we haven't really seen it since. This is the first Pele solo I've seen since that nerf, so a little bit surprising there. I feel like there's still a lot open in the soul lane that John Rowing could have looked towards, but with the Kabrakan on the other side. You got to imagine that was maybe Anubis in the soul lane, and then swap that one out and put it in the mid and then pick out the Pele.
If you're wondering what my sound effects were in reaction to, it was reading the predictions for this one. So far, chat, you guys have been 100% right at home. The predictions for this one are 20% Skogs, 80% for Food Fighters. And maybe, maybe that's why you should go Skogs. First Blood goes to the blue side over in the duo lane. So chat's feeling good for Food Fighters, but Skogs feeling good about the First Blood.
Nice
Good
play
start.
there from Paris. Yeah, nice play there from the Skogs on the left-hand side, and then a nice play there for the Food Fighters where Paris is able to steal that buff away. John Rowing being aggressive here on the timer, and this is the power of Pele in this early game. But I mean, I talked about it. This Ishtar is an incredibly unsafe pick. Even that dash, that is a way to kind of escape fights and maneuver through fights, is very susceptible to being blocked, and Kveka takes an early spill. And against a dual lane that can be aggressive in this Cernos and Najah, you gotta worry a little bit about the Food Fighters dual lane.
That Sash root combo from the Bramble is just so nasty. And you know, Book, you and I got to experience an Aspect CERN, speaking of headaches, that was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Played by Hydrogen that turned into a literal hydrogen bomb not that long ago. Then Musi and I saw Tuba, or excuse me, not Tuba, saw Cernanos play that was an Aspect, and we were like, oh, this is nothing. I swear it was just as scary sometimes. So I'm watching Tuba combined with Tempo, and if I'm Food Fighters, I just want to get through lane phase.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the power of a dual lane like this. I feel like we don't see a lot of this as of late in Smite in general, but you're just kind of allowing the minions to die and denying farm here for a hostile Puppey and Kveka, and there's not a lot they could do about it unless they get a jungle rotation, as we see another Sash in.
But a pull this time from the Sylve. Now the Bramble Blast, a dash forward, answered well. Great mez. And that's how you play Ishtar. If you want to slow things down, support the support. Why don't you? But look who's on the way. The Ho Yi nearby. Tempo, Tuba walking back. Sunprod stepping up. No ultimate online for the Ho Yi, so you imagine this would be a purple invade with Sylvanas there. It is indeed. Bring Sash. Neath ult on the way. When he lands, he'll be stunned, but Prod gets away. Purple buff will go to Djungelskogs on their own side.
Yeah, important Sunprod gets that full dash off away from the members of the Skogs, so he doesn't get stunned midair. And a lovely defense for the Skogs where they are able to defend their buff, but I mean, at the very least, Kveka and Puppey were able to break the freeze on the left-hand side. They were really starting to fall behind. Level 5 here for the dual lane as we see a bit of jungle shenanigans here between these two players.
Uh-oh. Blink! Damage on! Sunprod has ultimate online. Gets the jump away to the tier 2 tower. Nog not gonna chase. But now Nog in danger. Look at the collapse coming. That's 4 members. Nog sees Sunprod. Focus on. There's the damage. Nog holding on to Palau. There it is. Answering the Sunbreakers. That gets the kill on Prod. Back up on the way. You buy some time. You land down. You've got Tempo there for backup. The Sash going to slow down on Kveka. Now you've got a turn corner from a wild hunt and a double kill for Nog. Nog will go down, but look what he started. But the fires of revolution are being put out by Paris. And the Anubis shuts him down. Double kill right back.
Big rotation there from John Rowing from the soul lane back to base and rotated on over. I mean, members of Skogs were so deep in the enemy jungle. And I mean, a big play there from Tuba as well with a massive ultimate there, the Wild Hunt. Kveka wasn't level 5, so couldn't use their ultimate. The dual lane just too behind in terms of experience, so no Sylvanas or Ishtar ult, but at the very least, Food Fighters do answer back, and 2 kills going the way of the Anubis. We haven't gotten to touch on it too much just yet, but this is a character you don't want to allow to snowball in the early game.
Especially not into a Neath, right? Oh, I think so. I think that was a steal on the purple buff as Food Fighters walk away without it. Djungelskogs duo lane is just hurting the feelings of the Food Fighters so far. I think that's the simple explanation. I think I've got a moment. I'm going to take my risk. I said there was lore to Kveka playing the Ishtar earlier. I talked about a few years ago. I was casting Kveka in the playoffs, the Smite Draft League. Kveka was on a team with Rat Milk, a team that had been undefeated, expected to just walk right through, win themselves a grand finals. And instead, it turned into a bit of a war. It was a very long best of 3. I think it was like a 4-hour best of 3. And down to the final game, Kaveka had locked in an Ishtar, and this was a few years ago now, so different Kaveka than we're used to. I watched Kaveka 1v4 in a way that made rat milk look irrelevant, and if you're a ball knower, you know hearing that sentence speaks volumes. What I find interesting is that we're using it in this game that has no chance to clinch, but we're sashing and we're killing Kaveka, so... You know, if Caster Curses were real, I'd make more money, but that one I fear is very accurate. Nog will get the second one in the duo lane, and 2 bodies down on the left-hand side for Food Fighters.
Gold Fury going to be pulled as well by the Skogs. And with the power of this Neath, I mean, this Neath pickup here in the mid lane for Chang'e Best. Again, another safe character in the mid lane, but this time around can make impact on side lanes with that ultimate. And so communication going to be important for the Skogs, and already we're starting to see how important it is. Skogs take the first gold lead of the game off of a Gold Fury and an important 2 kills on the left-hand side. Sunprod does answer back here with the red buff steal away at the very least, but I feel like, again, this early game, Nog is the one driving the pace of the game for their team. Sunprod has kind of just played back. Yeah, for sure.
Ricochet early. Jump away from Chang'e Best. As a matter of fact, answered back with some poke. But the mid lane capture point looks pretty comfy to be a red side fan, at least for the time being. And with Nog backing, it doesn't seem like there will be a full contest out from the Skogs, and the Food Fighters will claim themselves a Moonlight Ritual unless something gets a little nuts here in the moment.
Yeah, I feel like Skogs are okay giving this one away. Timer 1K gets to spend some time farming on the right-hand side. Nog can just go rotate over to their jungle, find farm there, and yeah, I think you're pretty okay with how that went. And you definitely don't want to fight around this Anubis right now, who's got 2 items and is very strong. Mike Typhon completed here in the Bloodbound book means this Anubis is going to be pretty difficult to kill right now in this early game. So look towards Nog and getting some important items online before they go for an all-in on this Anubis.
John Rowing on this Pele has already made one incredibly impactful rotation, now bringing some hurt to Timer 1K's head. But I keep your eyes out, if you're watching at home, for this Pele's rotations going forward. Pele aspect, the later you get... Look, you and I have seen some things with this Pele aspect. It has lived through things that no character should have any right living through. And a lot of it, good call out, Tess, the itemization that Pele can combine with her aspect gets pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think this is a nice shout here for the Yogi's Necklace on the Pele. A lovely pickup here. And yeah, I think John Rowing, not as strong as it used to be for this Pele, but I feel like John Rowing can really be impactful on a character that just kind of walks forward and doesn't die this game. As we do see Sunprod lurking here. I feel like Tuba has spotted him. Yeah, he'll spot him out here and likely just forego clearing or even stepping towards this wave and just let the wave come to him.
And as Sunprod crosses away over that board, you see Tuba step up. We'll go for the contest. Can't find it on the gold camp. Mid lane, there is a 3-on-3 grouping as Sunprod will go back, so we have some time. Coming up in 10 minutes, Djungelskogs still holding on to a lead. 3 kills for that lead as well. You look across experience, however, and the Food Fighters notably ahead. The Pele, the Anubis, about a half-level lead for the Anubis, it looks like, in the mid lane. It is indeed. So it's a strong spot to be the Food Fighters, despite being behind, considering the draft book.
Yeah, and I think they're pretty okay as the game goes on. This Ishtar is only going to get stronger. The Hui will get stronger as the game goes on. More power behind those ricochets. And specifically, this Anubis gets stronger to the point where he could just kind of front to back shred people, whoever's in front of him, and also burst them down at the same time, but also have survivability. This Anubis will only get stronger, but look at that already. Mike Typhon kind of hurting Paris a little bit there as the Naja ring bounce will do work as the game goes on as well. Has gone for the aspect, and I feel like this... I like the aspect a little bit more. Even if you're going for a jungle Naja, I think going aspect just makes it a little bit easier to work the ring toss into even 1v1 fights where it can bounce off of yourself. You're just a little bit tankier. So I love this identity that Tempo's gone for. And want to shout out the build as well. Stampede first every game, but a Sunder pickup here as well.
Dash, Bramble, Blastin, Blades is the answer. But that's just too many 4 buttons. Neath ult, Wild Hunt, dead Kaveka.
It didn't even need that Neath ult, but didn't connect in time as Chang'e Best does get wrapped. But now Paris in trouble.
Rooted, could be booted, but has the laser for an answer. But up we go. Chunga Best will be waiting to add some damage on the landing. Is it enough? Yes, it is. A spirit arrow removes the spirit of the doggo.
Again, I come back to this Anubis pick way too early here for the Food Fighters. I feel like you could have looked for Hui Yi earlier on, the Ishtar earlier on, even the Pele would have been better earlier on. Showing the hand of this Anubis puts him in a bad spot where teams can really punish this character for being so immobile. And that's what Neja does. That's what Neith does. That's what this Daji will do as this game goes on.
3 left for Food Fighters. Do they get aggressive on this buff? So it looks like it goes to Food Fighters. Gold Fury also an option. Or no, did they go to Skogs? Went to Skogs. It didn't.
No.
I lied again. Double lies. Haha, get got.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I do think it did go the way of the Food Fighters there. I mean, Tempo's not picking it up.
Unless Tempo's pulling off a masterful troll, but no, it's not on our. It's not on our mini map, so.
He could be waiting. I mean, you don't need it right away. You've got it secured. You could just, wait for it. Then your timer's in a little bit better of a spot where you kind of then need it, and then you go pick it up. That would be a Giga Brain
here
play.
We go. There we go. The Gold Fury senses, they're tingling for both teams. Food Fighters will be to its second. Skog started up, but they have yet to hard commit. Now Gold 2 half health. What's the play here? It's a slow start still and an even slower leash. The Food Fighters have yet to overcommit back. The Skogs not looking to kill it. Tempo, Sash, going in aggressive. Nog from around the side. Laser! Tempo, dead! Just like that, but you've got an answer back in the form of Tuba, taking down Hostile Puppy. When everyone presses 4, when it's said and done, who's going to be dead? Add Paris to the pile. But, oh, look at the volcanic lightning into the back line, chasing down Tuba. John Rowan taking the 1v2 as Sunprod will take out Nog. John Rowan can't break through to Tuba. One Pyroclast does. Gets the knock up on Chunga Best, but John Rowan cannot kill either one, but maybe you don't need to, as Kaveka finds another one over by the Gold Fury.
Big plays from Kaveka and John Rowing keep themselves in this game as Hostile Puppy has respawned, but you can see Food Fighters spreading the map, going back to farming. John Rowing gonna hover though and look for a red buff invade, but Tempo on the way, so John Rowing's gotta be a little bit careful.
But I feel like, I don't know, knowing what I know about Pele, I don't know if John Rowing even needs to be afraid. Sash out. John Rowing, and away we go.
Good little juke there from Chunga Best to just avoid that damage and the knock up there from John Rowing. And a good look there from the Food Fighters. And it's kind of a bit of a wash at the end of the day. But, I mean, I feel like you'd argue that's a win for the Skogs just in the sense of how important and how almost easy that initiation looked. I feel like a small mistake was made there where they kind of split up. Some members, no one really helped out the backline. Everyone just kind of went forward. So do that again. Go for the initial kind of burst play that you just had, and then just fall back to your backline and make sure they can avoid John Rowing and his damage. And then you come out with a clean pick, and then you can pull the objective. So Skogs, yeah, they made a mistake, but they can easily clean it up.
My eyes keep going to Nog. I'm right there with Tess on hovering the Daji. Nog has had such an impressive set so far, but this Daji in particular, I feel like the ultimates have been so well timed, and a lot of times I feel like the criticism of a Daji is how you're utilizing the ultimate. Are you using it at the right times? Is it setting up your team? Are you just using it to try to fight? Like, what's the actual end goal of pressing for and using that pal out? But so far, Nog, it's been impeccable. I mean, every choice has been so good. And I feel like that goes to what you're saying about these team fights.
Yeah, I agree. I also think his timing of when he's going in has been really well as well. Like, he's waiting for Timer to go in first, waiting for Tempo to initiate, and he's kind of that secondary play. He's not going in first, he's going in second, as we'll see a trade here of objectives. Queen Naga going to go the way of Food Fighters, but Skogs on the second Gold Fury, they'll get it here for free. But Food Fighters now want the Pyromancer as well. Skogs, looks like they're trying to get there in time. I don't think they will, though.
It'll be no, not even close call. So Kaveka gets the Pyro. Second Gold Fury for Skogs. But mind you, on the other side for Food Fighters. Wow, it's a mystical mail. Been a minute. For the side of Food Fighters, they do get themselves some perma buffs. Good ultimate. Blades of Retributions to start. But look at that damage in response. Kaveka almost dies. Chunga Best. not firing it quite yet, holding on to that sniper shot.
Yeah, they need to hold on to it. It's going to be important here for a cross-map play as we see John Rowing hovering here, but just going to hang out for now as Timer will continue to farm out this right-hand side. And I think that has been the difference maker this set is John Rowing very clearly has shown that he is willing to forego farm to help the team around these objectives versus Timer 1K seems consistently late to some of these objectives and some of these, you know, scrappy plays around the mid lane and on the left-hand side.
With Djungelskogs being in the lead, I look at Tempo, and I know we'll dive deeper into this, but to beat Tempo and having played with so many members of Food Fighters, I mean, Tempo at one point was on a team with John Rowing, Sunprod, Kaveka. They were on Bible study. They win Smite Prime as a unit. Yeah. And Tempo, in Tempo's own words, single-handedly removed by Kaveka. And while, you know, it's still love and hugs and friendly all around, Book, you're a player who's been on different teams. Look, I'm a caster who's been on different teams for different leagues and different games. You just sometimes want to do better than people you're friendly with. You know, you want to be able to say, I beat you at this, I did this, and you didn't. And especially in this instance, being able to pull an underdog grand finals victory if you're Tempo away from Food Fighters and walk away with a cash prize, given all that context, I imagine that has to ignite a fire under Tempo.
Oh yeah, you always want to try a little bit harder when you've been removed, specifically when you've been kind of kicked from a team. You always want to beat that team or those players immediately after you've been removed from said team. Even if you are friends with the people on the other side, you still want to beat them more than anything else. But I mean, it's an interesting scenario here because I mean, I look at these builds again and Kaveka getting a little weird with things. Hasten Fatalis, third item here on the Ishtar. I mean, Kaveka is going for this kind of 1v9 style of build, but I do worry about their damage and dealing with this Kabrakan that's going to run at her.
I feel like we see that build a lot on the aspect where you're wanting to kind of almost hit a gas pedal for yourself as you're shotgunning forward, but I haven't seen it used on the main Ishtar quite yet. So good call out there from you, Book, as we're getting closer to 20 minutes. And not a lot's changed since the last time I updated you, hence my doing so. But the last few times I've done that, Book, all hell breaks loose not long after. As Tess shows, the charts are looking pretty confidently blue, but we'll see how long.
So what I'm hearing is, if there's a big team fight and one of the teams lose, it's your fault. Is that right?
I stand by what I said. If I, from the booth, can impact what happens in the game, I definitely need a pay raise, and every team should want me to be involved with themselves in some way or another.
Of course.
So, with that being said, I don't actually believe in a caster's curse. But is the timing and coincidences crazy? Absolutely.
You know what, Malin, put it there. I'm also a firm believer in the it's just not real. It's not a thing, you know? It's not a thing. Pretty sure it was
Sundering Echo there, by the way. Anybody else taking a breather? Old joke, I know. Pyromancer started up, half health. Djungelskogs there first. You saw Chang'e best charge the ultimate before and choose not to use it. So instead, the Skogs slow things down, and the Food Fighters do the same thing. They back away.
Look towards Hostile Puppy in their positioning. Consistently looking to hover these bushes and just look for a stray pull onto someone and look for initiation off of that. Nice little ricochet there, but look at how little damage Timer is taking here to this Huiyi, who's got some pen online as well, the Oathsworn and Titan's Bane, and still Timer just doesn't take a lot of that damage.
I'm watching consist. There it is. Whoa! I was saying I'm watching Tempo's play. You got to watch what Tempo sets up with the sash. It's every time, and it keeps on working. 1v2 now for John Rowing, back up on the way. Neath adds an ultimate to the pile. Timer 1K will get some hits, but that's a Pele that's just not going down. Meanwhile, Laser hits hard. Is it hard enough? With backup, maybe. Jolt from Kaveka. Is it enough to get away for Tempo? No! No revenge for Tempo under the tower, at least. Now some ults. A Powwow off to the left. John Rowing waits for it to come down at a wild hunt. Can you 1v3? Double kill for Kaveka in the mid lane in the short term. John Rowing still alive. Pyroclast almost there. Jolt in from Kaveka. Too late to find a kill. Oh, Sunprod just walked into oncoming traffic, and Chang'e Best hit him with a Honda Civic.
I mean, what is Sunprod doing there? I mean, the call is clearly goal for you. Look where Kaveka is. Look where Paris is going. And Sunprob with no HP just walks forward. Just a misplay. What are we doing there?
I cannot imagine how frustrating that was for Prod, too. Prod is somebody who's so mechanically clean, reads a map so well, usually positions so well, to get caught by a stray auto, and that be the thing that brings you down after you thought you got away. I mean, for that fight, for the rest of it at least, was clean for Food Fighters, and Kveka, you know, you pointed it out with the build, kind of going that hero build. Still making the plays like that, Book. You're reading it well this game, but to Kveka's credit, I mean, the slash line could be cleaner. It does look like the plays when the builds are online are making a difference that shows some value.
Yeah, I think a big part of that play in particular is more so Timer 1K is diving a tower and just taking tower shots as well. True. In that moment. And then there's no follow-up because John Rowing does such a good job of zoning out both backliners and the jungler, and so Timer 1K is on his own. The idea here for Timer 1K on this character is to just buy time with his presence, be tanky in the face of the carries, and all the while you're hoping your carries can do enough damage to take out the frontliners in front of them, or they can help dive the backline. But so far, Tuba and Chunga Best, they haven't been able to kill John Rowing.
Not to mention this wombo combo of CC. There it is again! Oh, but the answer from the Food Fighters that time is pretty good. Kveka lobbing up shots, and the lobs are doing damage. A Blade's Electrobution for a double kill for Kveka. Chunga Best has to backflip. Sunprod finds Nog in the mid lane. Not enough! Not enough. Cool guys don't look at lightnings bouncing back and forth. The Food Fighters walk away, killing 4, and head over to the Fire Giant.
Finally, we see the true power of Sylvanas, a character that punishes you for trying to dive him and daring to get close to you. Immediately pops the ultimate, knocks up both both frontliners there, and the damage follow-up from the Ishtar is just so fantastic. I've talked about how Ishtar needs help, and part of that help that she needs is just a strong frontliner presence. And with how Skogs have been playing, where they're just kind of focusing out the Sylvanas, it allows this Ishtar to do whatever she wants to do. Skogs have to recognize this and look towards diving Kveka. This is 2 games in a row. He has not been targeted at all.
And it's so funny because we were just talking, or I was just starting to put even more emphasis on this kind of wombo combo we've seen from the trio of Djungelskogs, that being Tempo, Tuba, and Chunga Best, getting just a mile of CC that you have to trek through in order to survive. But the answer was there, and you called it. It's Hostile Puppy. As soon as the Sylvanas was able to stay alive, okay, that's cool. Sure, drop all these things on one person. Watch me knock everybody up in this fight. Blow up in your face. Here we go again, though, Book. Why not race a little bit, right? Tier 2 tower. Food Fighters on the hunt. But this time, Skogs actually call off any attempt at the Tier 2 and left.
And they'll back to base. Timer 1K also on the way back to base. They'll get the Tier 1 tower on the right-hand side, I think, with the minions. No, not enough. Oh, no. Yep, just enough. Just enough, as Food Fighters will choose to back away. I feel like they don't want to fight right now. They're content with just kind of building a lead now. And Skogs realize that there's a lot of gold in the pockets of the Food Fighters that they haven't spent. And you can see they're trying to hover for a pick, but they can't find it.
Okay, everybody breathe. I hope so. Take those moments when you can get them, especially in games like this. Game 2, by the way, and it's 1-1. So with how all this is going down, nobody can walk away with the bolts here. But speaking of those bolts, we're talking about Kveka. Kveka, boltless. No bolts, you know? Kveka yet to win a bolt. Kveka has won Smite Prime, as I've mentioned, but you imagine that that's also kind of playing into this play style we're seeing from Kveka? And it's working so far, but I do wonder, to your point, Book, as CC out, John Rowing, not even afraid, not even half health of damage, by the way.
He's able to walk away. Stampede popped as well from Tempo, was concerned that they were under threat there. That's a big tool down now on the Skogs, but it will be back up at the very least before this Fire Giant respawns. But Gold Fury available, and the Food Fighters are splitting the map right now. 3 in mid, 1 in left, and 1 in right.
Huh. So to further the point, we talked about the Kveka kind of playing that hero style. It bounces back with the build, or adds on with the build. But in these fights, John Rowing is proving to just be a demon. I mean, they can't do damage, but he's constantly in their face. Look, how does that affect this Fire Giant?
I mean, it's just going to be a matter of whether Tuba and Chunga Best can work towards killing this Pele. As
how can they get past him?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of positioning. I think Tuba... Well, first of all, I think Tempo needs to stop diving this Sylvanas. I think he needs to stop trying to play this weird front-to-back style as... Oh my.
Blades, catch 2. Jolt, damage, is that a kill? Sunbreaker does help out Tuba. There's no escaping John Rowing. Is there? No, there's not. Tuba falls. That's the first one of the fight. That's an ultimate from Neath, but just to slow down John Rowing. Chunga Best, they're going to have to watch Nog die. We'll combine with Timer 1K, and they'll go for the retreat. That's only 2 alive for the Djungelskogs, and they know you lose 5 in this instance, and things get into panic territory quickly.
That might be game. That might be game. They're dead.
Did they go all the way?
20 seconds, 30 on Tuba. 5 men strong. Fire Giant about to run out. John Rowing has ultimate.
A bomb in pocket, too.
I think they're going to go for it here.
Here we go. Into the throne room they go. They've got to buy 15 seconds to get tempo back. What do you have? No ultimates online for this defense. The Titan's dead. Oh my goodness. Just no answer. Nothing that Djungelskogs can do to slow the effort. The Food Fighters had more than enough damage. What a read book. The Food Fighters, in the blink of an eye, send this series to match point.
I mean, Food Fighters off the back of punishing the aggression from the Skogs. I feel like that play from Hostile Puppy, that Sylvanas ult, is what turned the tides of this game to fully favor the Food Fighters. And I come back to, I really liked the Skogs composition for a while, but there was no answer to this Pele. There was no way to deal with the Pele just running at you. I mean, look, Tuba is going for the build and everything. The kin size, the Titan's Bane, everything to try and kill this Pele. I think Chunga Best not going for that Soul Reaver that we often see in the mid lane was a big deal. Doesn't allow her to really play to kill frontliners, which I think, look, these two have worked so well together. Nog and Chunga Best have worked so well together previously this series. Just not on the same page of how they need to play these team fights.
It just seemed... Sometimes I guess the messiness gets in your head, and I got caught off guard too. I truly didn't know if they could end there. Not because they had all 5 up or anything like that. It just seemed like there might be enough time that Chunga Best and Timer 1K could stall, but to your credit, you called it out. Without that Cabrakan ult in particular, they just were out of tools, they being the side of the Skogs. They had no tools to defend. And we talked a lot about how the God Pool Chunga Best has been focused book, and having the Neath in the mid lane there, I feel like that does impact it a lot there. Because if you have a more traditional mid laner, if you have someone who can get some CC blow up damage out in that last defense, maybe you do buy enough time. Maybe that fight in the jungle goes a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, I feel like Chunga Best is doing...
And that's not a blame either, to be clear.
No,
Chunga Best still
not.
had a completely fine game.
Yeah, and I actually wonder, I mean, look, we praised Nog a lot. That game was driving the pace of the early game. I feel like at some point, Nog just stopped playing, stopped making plays.
Almost right after we talked about it.
Yeah. Oh. Are we?
Suspicious.
Nah, it's just coincidence. I mean, look, I like the performance in the early game, but I feel like at some point, the Skogs needed to adjust their game plan. They couldn't keep initiating with tempo. At some point, they needed to change things up, and they just didn't. Instead, John Rowing gets to run at the backline for free. There's no real answer between Nog, Chunga Best, and Tuba. Just the 3 members can't really deal with this Pele that's so tanky, so unkillable. But at the very least, John Rowing can't do that again. Vault bans, Pele's off the table.
Pele's off the table. Game 4 is on the horizon. When we come back after these short messages, we continue with our grand finals. There's a chance to clinch it. If you are Food Fighters, you got to hang on if you're Djungelskogs. Don't go anywhere, Smite fans. We'll be right back on OSL.
I wait for someone to save. something new. You drove us both into a wall. I drive away into the night, and I contemplate for a while. Don't you think you wanna be for the best? If I back my stuff, I like it sooner than this. Don't you think you wanna be for the best? If I back my stuff, I like it sooner than this. Don't you wish I would've been someone else? I wanna feel your gap without making a mess at you. Oh, won't you tell me something new? I wanna tell you something new. I wish you all the best I can, and I stop myself for a while. I'm saying things I don't believe. The panic's rising up in you. Why won't you tell me something new? Don't you think you wanna be for the best? If I back my stuff, I like it sooner than this. Don't you think you wanna be for the best? If I back my stuff, I like it sooner than this. Don't you wish I would've been someone else? I wanna feel your gap without making a mess at you. Why won't you tell me something new? I wanna tell you something new. You drove us both into a wall. I drive away into the night, and I contemplate for a while. Don't you think you wanna be for the best? If I back my stuff, I like it sooner than this. Don't you think you wanna be for the best? If I back my stuff, I like it sooner than this. Don't you wish I would've been someone else? I wanna feel your gap without making a mess at you. Why won't you tell me something new? Wish you all the best I can, then I stop myself for a while.
Are we there yet? We're certainly close. We are one game away, potentially, from crowning our Athens Division champions. A chance at a 4th Bolt for Sun Prodigy. The Djungelskogs are trying to hang on. They're down 2-1 in the set currently. My name's Mel. I'm still joined by Spirited Book and Testai in the booth. And we've got a long way to go still, somehow. But we still have things to talk about. First of all, let's get a reminder of what these players are competing for, because the prize on the line is quite significant. If you're Sun Prod, you're playing for snacks at the movies at a later date. You could stock up on so much candy, so many drinks, it's actually insane. $2,500 grand prize to the first place team. The second place team walks away with $1,000. So a fairly big difference between first and second. Usually, as I said in the beginning, brings out the best in players. But what if you at home want to get involved? The top division, Athens, competes for money. All the other divisions compete for diamonds. And how do you get in? Well, I have just the answer for you. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen, or use !OSL in the Twitch chat right now to join the Discord and be ready for season number 9. There's also rumors that there could be even more divisions of play for you to compete in. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see where you land on your attempt to climb the top of Mount Olympus. Book, game number 4 is on the way. Picks and bans will be up soon. I don't know where this is going to go. We're real deep in God pools. The vault bans have been persistent. We'll have a reminder of that for you to look at home as well. All the gods that have been played are gone. When we get in, Book, and there's 37 gods or whatever on that screen, then people at home will know. We're getting in the trenches.
We're in the trenches. This is where we get to see who has, we get to play the game, Malin. We get to play the game. The age-old game of who has a god pool and who has a god puddle. Yeah. And I feel like we're looking towards Chang'e Best. I feel like we've been harping that they've been the target of a lot of the bans from the side of the food fighters. And look, Chang'e Best has got to find something that they're comfortable on. And the team, I think, has really got to support her and how she wants to play. But also, I mean, look, we're saying Chang'e Best has been the target and they're struggling here. But also at the same time, I'd argue the Neath looks pretty good last game as well. I mean, looked pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think,
and you can see it here too.
A little better.
Some stats from these teams from the regular season. Book, shout out to smitecomp.com. You can check that out today and get yourself involved in the amateur scene. But as you were.
Yeah, I mean, look, just a solid performance. I do want to shout out Tuba as well, though. Pretty solid. Nog as well. A solid performance so far. But again, I come back to that last game and Nog was up again and then just kind of stopped making plays at times. I feel like just slowed down the pace when they needed to keep it going in their way. The team just didn't adapt. Across the way, though, the side of food fighters very clearly adapt their strategy where they said, look, guys, they just keep front to backing us. Let's send the Sylvanas first. He'll be the target. He'll get stashed and then pop the ultimate and then we'll kill them all.
Well, the numbers are pretty, again, thanks to smitecomp.com for all they do for the community scene and letting us use their stats here today in the grand finals. But let's stop dilly-dallying. Let's head into game number 4, picks and bans. Figure out, with all of these gods grayed out below us, what the hell do you play?
Yeah, I'm trying to go through the list here of what is still open.
I know, like, you got to kind of like...
Something weird here, I think, especially for the ADCs. I mean, Uller is still open. Merlin is still open. Chiron is still open. Maybe as an answer here. I mean, a lot of characters
we're zooming.
Yeah, we are. Ooh. I mean, this is an interesting idea here. Food fighters have gone for second pick when I feel like they should have gone for first pick, though. Oh, no, sorry. Skogs actually lost. Never mind. All is well. Skogs lost. They went for first pick. My apologies. So that is correct. And that's why they banned the Uelix. That's why they banned the Mordred. They switch up the bans, though. Ban the Zeus away. Take away the Baron first overall.
Well, if you're hanging at home, chat, wake up, tab in, and gamble. Because your time to get the predictions in using the Twitch channel points is almost up, because we're flying through this picks and bans here in game number 4. The Baron Samdi answered by the On Her Food Fighters. Waiting a moment to select their second pick. Now the On Her for Kaveka. You know, we've been talking so much about Kaveka. There's so much to it. Kveka, the passion has been there this season for OSL. We talked about tempo, right? How tempo feels towards Kveka at the moment. We're locking in the on her in this dual lane. I'm starting to really think about the revenge potential against tempo. I feel like that's sending a message because you're getting jumped on alongside it. Hakate locked in.
Yeah, I feel like Hostile Puppy and Kveka have had no real presence in the lane, especially in the early game. And, you know, locking in the on her, clearly they want to change that. And Kveka, very known for the on her, very comfortable in this character, goes for some more odd builds yet again. But I'm curious to see what they go towards this time, if they decide to go towards their more classic strength builds of very low attack speed and just kind of relying on a lot of strength in the build. And then just going for that damage, as we see a Mulan here locked in on the Skogs. So Baron's support, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And Mulan solo for timer 1K. Kind of surprising here. And I would love this. I would love this here for Sun Prod.
It's locked in. So Susano for Sun Prodigy. Hovered is the Bologna for John Rowing. A pick I feel like I've talked so much about a lot of players and kind of, I've been given the old man, wise wisdom, gray beard, pipe knowledge about a lot of players. I feel like John Rowling has been playing Bologna for a very long time. I've been casting that for way too long, and it's one of my favorite picks. I feel like John Rowling does so good when John Rowling can play aggressive, That's the biggest thing. But for Djungelskogs, so we have the Baron, we have the Mulan.
Baron mid.
That's a Ganesh hover, or do we go real crazy? Do we see one of those one-shot Ganeshes that you can get with the aspect? Look, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying that thing does 1 million damage, and that'd be cool.
Something funny is going on here.
This Djungelskogs is the team with everything to lose book.
I'm really plotting here.
So
Really
while you
plotting.
plot, if you have one game left, if you had one chance, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, is this the draft that you can support? When we get in game, I need to know everything about these roles. Go ahead.
So
Shoot or shoot.
a ton of AoE setup and damage here for the Skogs, where any jungle fight should just go their way, because you have Ganesh ult to lock people in, Mulan set up with the ulti to just kind of root people and then knock them up. Cupid, Fields of Love, gonna lock people down. No one can escape from that. Chiron ult is the damage here in the fight, and then Baron ult can pull people back. Question is where is everything going? And I do wonder.
I'm sitting here scanning some of our notes here, trying to see if I can figure stuff out.
So, I have a theory.
Okay.
Cupid ADC, Chiron in the mid lane. Very traditional.
Okay.
Could be Cupid jungle, but we'll get to that eventually. Ganesh in the support role. Baron in the solo, and then Hua Mulan in the jungle. We've seen Mulan play jungle from time to time. Is a character that can just kind of snowball the early game, be aggressive, kind of plays that classic warrior style. But I do wonder if this is a swap somewhere in that mix-up. But I think that identity could work. Again, it is really one of those comps where we just kind of have to wait and see where everything goes to really kind of narrow in on how the composition really wants to play. Because there is a flip side where it's Cupid in the jungle, because we do see this sometimes as a response to Susano, who wants to play with such high mobility around the map, and that Cupid can deny that identity.
Oh man, everything on the line for Skogs. And this is the draft that you're going with. I love it. The E set there for food fighters. I do like the E set a lot. I feel like you're putting yourself in a really fun position to get kind of nuts around these team fights, around these objectives. But on the flip side of that, how is the E set surviving? Look.
Yeah.
That's the biggest flaw I see.
I don't like E-set support, Malum. I really
I know.
don't.
I feel like with Baronary, you made a pretty strong argument against it. You were on the soapbox. You took my apple box from me.
Yeah, I think it's just a character that doesn't provide enough presence in fights, and she can play that kind of backline peel-oriented character, but she's not a real, body presence like this Ganesh could be, for example, where he's dashing forward and taking shots.
Here we go. In game, where are they going? The Djungelskogs got 1 life left to live. The Food Fighters are 1 game away. On the battleground of the gods, it'll all be decided as always. Are we going to game 5? Or is Sun Prodigy and the gang walking away with money? Nog on the Cupid jungle. Ganesh in support. So I'm a little sad it's not Ganesh jungle. I'm a little bummed. But overall, still an exciting composition locked in. Baron aspect in the mid lane. Of course, the E-set rocking aspect as well. My name's Mel. I'm joined by Spirited Book still. Tess, Eye in the Sky. I've got my patent pending, not sponsored Dulcin Game 4 and Game 5 Sprite ready to take me through it, Book. I'm locked in. You're locked in. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, already I'm excited to see how this Cupid decides to play. Chunga Best as well. These two together, I mean, have been pretty solid so far, and I feel like the Baron and Cupid combo can be very effective in this early game. It's just a ton of CC and, you know, surprising damage in this early game. We don't often see a lot of Baron aspect as of late, but for a period of time, he was kind of just running the Qs, being so effective, so much damage, you kind of just didn't really expect it. But now paired alongside the Cupid, that's even more setup CC as well as, you know, early game consistent damage that you kind of have to be wary of. I do worry a little bit though for this Baron against the Hecate and Susano in particular, where high mobility characters and characters that can punish you for having no mobility, that Chunga Best has to be really conscientious of their positioning in this early game.
Tess hovered the Bumba's Golden Dagger. Nobody's picking this up recently ever since the changes. You know, the word on the street is dead item, RIP. You know, catch me at the funeral, rocking Bumba's Cudgel instead. But Nog going it here on the Cupid as opposed to other options. I mean, we saw the Gilded Arrow, right? That was Nog. Yep. We saw, or excuse me, that was Sunprod. We saw the Death's Toll at certain points. I've seen Nog use other items in scrims in jungle, but instead we're going with the Golden Dagger.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by it a little as well. I think the arrow, the Gilded Arrow would have been a nice look here as we do see a potential 2v2.
Early beads, blink, Sunprod, pull, auto, reset, first blood.
There you
Paris
go.
with the dunk on Chunga Best. And first blood of game 4 belongs to the Food Fighters. And Book, that's not the only thing worth talking about early. Predictions are in. Skogs, 58% of Twitch chat believes we are going to a game 5. Only 42% are food fighting believers.
I mean, they might have wanted to change their votes after that little play there as Tuba gets jumped on. Good silence, though.
You see that damage spread. Kaveka will take the long way to readjust. Now Hostile Puppy dashed on, but everything's fine. Everything's cool. Everyone's safe.
I do want to note in that mid 2v2, for the first time in a hot minute, Sunprod being aggressive in this early game, and Tempo in a bit of trouble, but is able to get away. Got speared against the wall by Kaveka, and Kaveka just looks so comfortable already on this on her. We see him jumping in so consistently, pressuring out Tuba and Tempo, really putting them in awkward spots here on the left-hand side.
Two right, Firebrands the rotation from the 2 yellow members, and it looks like the Skogs will back off. Nog will pop a Baron Sprue, Field of Love on the Hecate. There's the portal answer, decent damage on. Now the root, are we going all the way for the kill? We cannot. Not with Sunprod there. Sunprod takes the teleporter, but without level 5, no over aggression from the Food Fighters in the mid lane.
Ooh, Timer has to be careful here. John Rowing is
Good
level
shot.
5, but this Mulan is not.
Combo, ult available. We're not going for it. Meanwhile, Chunga Best dead to Sunprod. Nog willing to take on the 1v2 perhaps? No. It looked like it. There was a posture from a Cupid there of a I can take him dash, but Nog keeping the finger off the trigger in this instance.
John Rowing gets the blue buff here as well. Nice little invade. Timer 1K just missed that pull there. Got punished on this right-hand side. Did hit level 5 just in time. Timer's so happy that minion died. Now John Rowing taking a ton of damage here.
Every lane is just a... Remember game... Does anybody else remember game 1? When it was a pacifist run? It looked like 2018 EU Smite. Don't beat me up, Sparked and Hindu. You know, like it was so slow, it was so calm. I mean, sure, there's not a million kills on the board, but the fighting is completely different. The players for the most part, seemingly have found that kind of confidence, that boost. And it makes sense, but I mean, you have to keep it up. We're already 5 minutes in. This game's moving quickly. See how long that lasts.
I think a lot of credit there goes towards Sunprod. I mean, part of every kill so far. It's only 2, but still a good look to how, you know, what we've seen from these past few games. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the usual Sunprod that we expected. This is why I expected game 1, that once Sunprod hits level 5, he's looking for a play. And again, he's looking for another play.
Typhoon. Field to Love is the answer. Field to Love pops. Nox got autos. Sunprod takes the portal. Body blocks from Paris. Sunprod dancing around. Nog looking for autos. Gets the heart bomb. And down will fall Sunprod. Tempo arrives in the mid lane, but too little too late. Nog did get away, though, so credit where it's due to the Cupid, and managed to pull away with a kill as well.
And that was against Sunprod, who had first item. Nog didn't in that fight, so, I mean, one could argue that's worth, but, I mean, now you could see Chang'e best 0-3 on this Baron mid. Again, just no mobility to really avoid all that damage. Has that ultimate now available, so some CC immunity to really avoid, say, the Hecate ult, but again, just gonna really struggle for a long time. Gotta wonder if maybe Chang'e best gonna go towards some physical defense here, maybe something like a Helm of Radiance to avoid this eventual dive that we're gonna see onto this Baron, probably from
left lane. Tuba, ooh, runs. Okay, I saw Tuba go from full to half in the blink of an eye, and knowing Kavika's on her, I had a little bit of a panic attack.
I mean, possibly. I mean, still possible fight on the left-hand side as Hostile Puppy and Kavika hovering over there, and Tempo and Tuba have to be careful. But, I mean, probably going to imagine Kavika's going to slow down a little bit. Has the Devourer's Gauntlet online, going to start stacking that one up and start to, you know, build up some of that strength I kind of mentioned previously. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, with the way this composition is built out here for the Skogs, if Kavika goes towards a weird kind of crit build where it's like Devourer's Gauntlet into the kind of like the Jingwei build we saw previously.
Pull, Gates, combo, life of the after party after the Typhoon hits.
Nothing you could do there. Nothing you can do there for the Skogs. No answer. And now all 4 kills of the Food Fighters are onto this mid laner. We're starting to see it get a little bit out of hand. A level lead here for Paris, starting to really snowball here. The gold lead definitely favoring this Hecate. And Hecate, one of those characters you really don't want to let get ahead here. And this Baron gonna really struggle, but is going towards a proc build. I mean, you can already see that Soul Reaver being worked on as Sunprod hovering here on the left-hand side, looking for just play after play after play.
Now crossing through. Are we going all the way looking for Tuba? Be sketchy. Just gonna be a buff for now. Mid lane is up. The capture point there. Party rockers, if some have been calling them. That's what the streets are saying. Right side's doing right side things. Timer 1K is getting smacked by the hammer. Sunprod now rotating to the mid lane, to that contest point. Will he go the fun way? No, goes the safe way. Notable rotations from the ADCs. I see a Bologna walking over as well by the Firebrands. Is that a full rotation? No. But Book, there's a party lying in wait.
Yeah, and maybe Skogs, they finally make the call. They're not going to try and contest at all. They send their ADC back to the left-hand side, and they'll just farm their own buffs. Rather safety. So Food Fighters do get themselves the Moonlight's favor. And they're sitting around a 2,000 gold lead just 8.5 minutes in. They're feeling really comfortable so far. And they have a composition that does fairly well into the mid to late game. I feel like Skogs have to look to make a play fairly soon. They're starting to let this one get a little out of hand.
Look, we've addressed that a big game plan from the Food Fighters was feeling like they were targeting in on Chang'e best and really trying to force an issue. And I said it again. Darn. Bingo cards you go. Caster cards are fun. And Chang'e best now on this Baron, obviously starting the game off in an uncomfortable state. Chang'e's fought through a lot, but needs to pull it together now. This will help out, though. To the blue side, at a kill on Sunprod again. Second death for the jungler.
And that's not good at all. I mean, look. Sunprod's feeling himself. He got himself 2 early kills, helped kill his mid lane, helped kill the enemy mid laner. Is now Kavika on his own here.
Silence chased. Giddy up forward. The pillar into the pillar. Math, geometry. Okay.
Only he was in the game in that.
Yeah,
moment.
that was a weird one. So Oh, hang on. He's set. Walking forward. Kveka there too. Are we? No, okay. I saw Sunprod and I got suspicious. Stun on tempo. A dash. We're all right. But Sunprod is lurking, so we'll be wary. But speaking of Sunprod, I've shared some stuff I talked about with the players before the game. And I'll have to wait. Gold Fury started up by Sunprod solo, interestingly enough. It will be known now, so he'll have to let it go.
Why though? Heart Bomb does connect there on the hostile puppy. I mean, look, you got the barbed carver, you got some lifesteal built in with it, but I mean, why take that much poke, I guess, for so long? Maybe just really saying, hey guys, we're forcing a fight right here, right now. Let's force them to make their rotations now. And they're gonna go for it again. It's going
Gold
quick
Fury,
though.
half health, very, very quickly. Remember that Dark Pillar is down, not up yet. Tempo in first. Nog there for backup. On the way is Tuba out of mana. Now in the pit goes Timer 1K. The gates are opened. The Gold Fury is dead. Paris with the credit for Food Fighters. Typhoon to start the fight, but Hostile Puppy, the first one dead. And that's a Food Fighters member. So they get the gold. The Sacrificial Lamb is the support.
Nice ult there from Paris. Just denies the members from walking forward, and they use that timing window to just commit to the objective. Skogs still looking for more though, as John Rowing is in the area.
Nog in some danger, stepping back up though with the squad. Now it's the Kveka potentially the one.
Tempo got it.
Should be
Oh
frightened.
no, he didn't.
Kveka gets it. So Kveka still sitting pretty purple. So I messaged Sunprod earlier, and my question pretty simply, don't do this to me guys, let me tell my story. Paris on the run now. Sean got best. Is there a route available? Not quite. And I'd asked Sunprod would be the first player to win 4 bolts, 4 championships in OSL. And I asked Sunprod, the paraphrase version of my question, what would that mean to you? Do you want to know what Sunprod said? Another bolt? Nothing. Really? Just more aura when I type, for real. I don't feel extra motivated. I've just played with Kveka and John. We have good synergy. And I want the aura.
Why not? Why not?
That's
go for
what
the
you're
aura?
fighting into with Skogs. Sunprod's, there's no dramatic. I'm in it for the team. I'm going to get them a championship. There's no dramatic. I want to make history in Olympus Smite League. There's not, dude. I want that aura when I rage bait some loser in Athens chat.
Yeah, and definitely a couple of those there for sure, but we're not going to name names. But no, I mean, this would be, a historic moment for OSL. No player has 4 bolts to their name, and Sunprod, if they win this game, would be the first as Pyromancer being pulled here. Tempo in the area.
Kveka jumps over. No good impale, but the pillar slows down Tempo. Now Tempo here. Paris gets the Pyro. 4 Food Fighters.
Again, no answer back here from the Skogs. They tried to group as a response, but just not ready for it in time. And Food Fighters starting to run away with this gold lead little by little here, objective after objective. Feel like Skogs have to make a play fairly soon, unless they let this one get away from him. As we see, Sunprod has invested in an early blink as well. That is I feel like we're seeing that a little more as of late. People are just kind of upgrading their relic early into the active item version of it. And so now Sunprod has access to a combat blink. A nice little look there that will help him out in these fights.
Sunprod on Jetstream focus, silenced and slowed down from chasing. Kveka was nearby, and you could tell that the Food Fighters wanted to progress that fight further and really dive and make a problem. But instead, they slowed back. Nog now close to mid, but won't rotate on in. And you know what Tempo's response was, Book, to Sunprod saying that this game, this series is about aura? Tempo said, oh, believe me, forefront of my mind is keeping Sunprod from gaining another bolt. Right now, we're keeping Kveka from living a life in duo. Shots on Tuba, a sniper.
You can see rotation coming through from Hostile Puppy and Paris, but not there in time. A nice little pickup there between the ADC and Jungler for the Skogs. Stop me if you heard that one before this series. These two have worked really well together in the past, and they are able to steal this buff away. Now, Hostile Puppy,
who's here. Tempo was aware. I liked that play, though. Just keeping the slow. Oh, the Dark Pillars is going to miss. Tuba pulled back in. No, what a show! You're kidding! No way we lived that! Tuba! I said it! Tempo wanted no aura for Sunprod, and if you keep protecting your backline like that, it's going to be really hard to get that 4th bolt.
What a shell from Tempo there. And I thought it was really bad there. Misplay from Tuba where he mistimed the Aegis where it was going to run out. Sunprod hadn't fired the ultimate, so the damage didn't come through here. But all the while, Food Fighters did force Tuba to back to base. He doesn't have ultimate as well. This Gold Fury should go the way of the Food Fighters. Yes.
Gold Fury killed by Kaveka. Food Fighters continue to grow their present gold lead. You can see it. It's just been one slow drip, if you're Djungelskogs, one slow, sad drowning to the bottom of red. Skogs got to find a way back in, Book, because I feel like there's options back in. You've touched on them. Nog still having a clean game, actually ahead of farm right now compared to Sunprod, but you cannot let this game get away. The picks for Food Fighters, if they can get ahead and they can really start demanding you and forcing the causation of fights to just be, oh, we're better, we're stronger, you can't fight us, that's when you're going to be into a significant problem.
Queen Naga has also spawned, and you can see both teams grouping here around the objective. Tempo was the target for a moment, naturally has picked up an onsile here, so more silences on top of silences here for Tempo. Just try and take members down.
You gotta remind yourself to breathe in these games, you know? Just took my second. Grounded myself. It looks like the timing was good. Queen Naga started up now by the Djungelskogs. Food Fighters aware. Eyes on John Rowing in particular on this Bellona. Queen Naga let go of, leash back by the Food Fighters. Off to the left, you can see the Hecate runs into Baron, where a Baron used to be. Sunprod will get the last hit on it. And just like that, the Skogs have to call off the play for the Queen Naga. That's going to go to the Food Fighters instead. One pick on Chang'e Best, who not struggling, but can't seem to find a footing, equals all this mess. Tempo brought back, and the former homies put him in the dirt. Next up, Kaveka, stuck between a rock and a pillar, and Honors beating you upside the head. Timer 1K gets away, but you can already see the writing on the wall, what Food Fighters is putting together.
Yeah, you can kind of see it's starting to fall apart here for the Skogs. That game 1 win might have been their only win this series. It's really getting out of hand. Pyromancer going to go the way of Food Fighters as well. And it's just Chang'e Best getting caught, not grouped with the team initially. Now he's dead. They're dead again. There's nothing they can do.
Tough break. She gets back to lane, instantly focused and jumped on by the Food Fighters. The Food Fighters came in with a strategy. They're acting on the game plan, and the game plan is panning out so far. Their gold lead grows, the kill lead grows. 3 to Hecate, 4 to Sunprod. Yeah, good call out from Tess, hovering the mode of chaos. Looks like Chang'e Best is building into more ways to try to survive. She's doing what she can, Book, and we touched on this. You're just stuck, right? Like, there's not a lot you can do in these situations. You've been focused out in the draft. You're getting focused out in the game. It's up to the rest of the Skogs to lift up the rest of the weight, right? And so far, they have been unable to find a way to do that.
I know it feels bad because ideally you want Chronos Pendant into Soul Reaver because you want to proc that item as much as possible on a character like Baron. But I honestly think Chang'e Best, after dying that many times early, needed to invest in a blink. Needed to invest in some sort of safety tool to stay alive longer, as Timer 1K likely won't stay alive for a whole lot longer. The whole team is over here.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe not. There's the ultimate to get away. The Food Fighter is not interested in chasing either.
I mean, they're just going to keep pushing. I mean, they're building a gold lead that's just becoming hard to deal with if you're the Skogs. You're slowly almost squeezing the map, you know, taking the farm where you can, taking the farm away from the Skogs as well. There's nothing they can really do to answer. They're trying to answer with a tier 1 in mid lane. Kaveka's in the area.
Yeah, you gotta answer more, though.
Maybe, yeah, you definitely are just losing a lot. You get a tier 1 on the left-hand side as well. I don't know. I don't know if it's enough of an answer. It's a decent answer, sure. You get 2 tier 1s off the map, but now there's an exposed Phoenix here for the Skogs, where Food Fighters, you get a clean win around Fire Giant. That's an exposed Phoenix. That could well be the game, and we're only 19 minutes in, so you might need 2 back-to-back fights to make that happen, but still, it's just out of hand. You can't even contest this Gold Fury now that you're in the area. You just probably have to give this one away now that Food Fighters are grouped up here. There's just not a lot you could do if you're in the Skogs position right now.
And you can see the jumps in gold. So it's there, right? There's options to turn this around. There's ways back in, but I like the word you said, kind of squeezing this game. You know, it's the boa constrictor tightening on the Skogs. The food fighters really, you know, they're clutching that hamburger, so to speak. The sauces are dripping out, and the Skogs. Are we in desperation territory, or are we feeling
Absolutely.
smart? We're pulling Fire Giant. Food fighters, they are knowers. They're here, looking to contest, of course. Eagles rally to lead the way. Tuba, early target. The Gates bring back 3 to Paris, and Kaveka starts cleaning house for the Food Fighters. One down already, but you see the delay from the Fields of Love. Can the Skogs fight back into it? A blink away to readjust. Nog can't find a kill, and Sunprod to adjust with the jet stream, but now Nog will find it. That equals a killing spree. So this is working out okay so far. 1-for-1 for the Skogs. They pull the fire early. They get damage on. Most importantly, Book, they fight, and they don't lose everybody. The fight looks okay.
They do lose Pyromancer now as well, though. Again, to me, that's a nice play from the Skogs. You take the fight and you come out at a 1-for-1 trade, and you want to do plays like that when you're behind, because you don't want to keep snowballing the map here for the Food Fighters. You want to force them into a position where they have to walk towards you, and then you make a play and you just have to take a fight before the game gets any more out of hand. Problem is, immediately after, Food Fighters go towards the objective and Skogs don't. And so the gold lead continues to build for the Food Fighters. So Skogs have to start looking for, again, the stuff after the stuff. This fight, though, could go their way now that they've pulled the beads off of John Rowing and Sunprod. If I'm Skogs, I'm looking to pull another fight before those relics come back up.
We'll see if they do just that. You can see Tempo and Chang'e at best kind of setting up a little bit early for it. So ward coverage is decent. Food Fighters getting the farm online, staying far ahead. I do look at the jungle and ADC roles, though, and that's kind of the signs of hope. And if I'm rooting for Skogs, I'm not looking at mid lane, at least not while Chang'e best tries to get online. But with the Blink now available, well, online, but not available, at least that adds some more tools for this Baron to stay alive. And that last fight, notably, it was cleaner.
I mean, just looked a lot better, and we saw the combo come through where Baron's able to pull people into the Cupid ult, into the Chiron damage. That's what the identity here is keeping members in place in all this AoE damage, that it just all comes through to fruition. Food Fighters now grouping around the fire, and they're pulling, but Skogs, they're nearby.
Notably, John Rowing in the solo lane. Fire Giant at half health.
They drop.
But the Food Fighters drop it. They back away. Skogs are here, but the presence was enough to slow things down. You know, my brain book, that's a victory. You're buying time of the fire not happening. No significant objectives are being done yet. Gold Fury soon to be started by Kaveka. But again, it's a lot of, it could be worse for the Djungelskogs, you know, and with the state they were in, the fact that they're keeping it at that.
They're pulling. Kaveka's
in response to the Gold Fury. They must have known, not sensing it. Kaveka's going to hard commit to the Gold Fury. Fire pulled. Is there a fight to be had? The Skogs are looking for it aggressively. You can tell just based on positioning, but they don't know about Kaveka. The timing was coincidental. Maybe they'll realize soon that Kaveka isn't involved in the fight, especially with Nog in the mid lane. The Gold Fury is going to die any second now. It just now died. Kaveka will have to back naturally. But the Skogs, they're going to find out too late. Look, they can't take advantage of the Gold Fury split.
Curious, yeah, I feel like they didn't know, just based on the sequence of events there. Of, you got to imagine, and look, they were looking for a fight. They were looking for a fight. Timer missed the pole, and it hit the wall instead, and so they couldn't go for an initial fight. Now Relic's back up here for the Food Fighters, and yeah, all 3 Gold Furies the way of Food Fighters. They get all 3 pips, those bonuses that Tess just hovered, all to the Food Fighters. The Skogs need to find answers. This will be their first objective this game for this Pyromancer. Yep.
Okay. I was scared. I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm so unbiased. I was so scared for the Skogs. Of losing that would have been such pure frustration, I think, would have been the key word there. But anyway, where are we, you ask? 24 minutes in. 6,500 gold favors the Food Fighters. The Djungelskogs are alive. Only 3 kills separate. Tuba, notably, level 19. Same thing can be said for Nog. Both deathless. The Mulan a little bit further behind, as well as Chang'e best to their counterparts in lane. but things are not looking out of reach quite yet for Djungelskogs. They're certainly becoming out of sight, going over the horizon, but the Skogs are surviving. We've talked about it, right? Tempo driven for revenge. The rest of the team looking for bolts. I bet Chang'e Best wants left lane, 1v1, pull in. Tuba's gonna die. Yes, very much so. The ult's not gonna connect with Tuba dead. What do the Food Fighters have?
They're going to go towards the Fire Giant. Nog immediately realizes they have to go for a split map play here. Maybe try and catch Sunprod leaving the base. He's going between the towers, trying to catch out Sunprod's rotation. This would be huge.
So Nog's going to take the 1v1 with Sunprod, but the Fire Giant goes down. Chang'e Best just stole the Fire Giant for the Djungelskogs as Nog gets the 1v1. You want a sign of life? What if I just simply break the hospital open? We're thriving right now. Thriving and surviving. Timer 1K will fall, but Prod gets soloed, and the Fire Giant gets stolen by the most unlikely of heroes. Chang'e Best pulls it off. She does it for the Skogs.
What a play. What a hero play between Nog and Chang'e Best. I mean, heads up play from Nog of realizing, okay, Sunprod's going to go back to this Fire Giant. I have the tools to kill him. Force at least a 4-on-4. And then I don't even know. I don't even know what steals it. But it's just huge for the Skogs. They can stabilize the map and spend some time farming and hitting level 20. Tuba hits level 20 here on the Chiron. And look, to me, I see Tuba die on the left-hand side. I'm like, that's it. That's the play right there. I thought so too.
I was ready to write it off.
The play that ends this game, or at least the beginning of the end. And then signs of life between two players that I think have worked well together, making individual plays on their own in Nog and Chang'e Best. And remember, Chang'e Best starts this game 0-4.
Focus the whole set in one way or another, and to make a play like that to keep your team in it. The stuff of dreams, but big moments are made for dreams. You know, that's the name of the game. Sometimes you gotta play God. And that's what Chang'e Best did. Djungelskogs, Book, they're pushing right lane. Kveka is in left. We'll clean up a tier 1. We'll see how far it goes. Tier 2 defended by the Food Fighters.
There's the Stampede. They're popped. They're looking for the ult.
Dermot Pillars out. Pull in. Damage on. Gates popped. They're going to find one. When it brings Tuba back, it'll be tough to survive it, but that's going to be a kill for John Rowing. Timer 1K was the one that got pulled back and is able to escape, but Kveka's going all the way so far, now to the Phoenix line after killing the tier 2 tower. The Skogs have to pull off their offense that could catch them out. They can't get the tier 2. Nog will back to defend against Kveka on the left side. 1v1 there, 4v4 right, here we go. Damage on, pull in up 3 from Sunprod, and a Typhoon gets popped and kills 1. Tempo stunned, 1v1 forces Kveka off. Nog standing tall so far. Will he dash in? Will Kveka jump in? The jump away from Kveka. Back to the right lane where Tempo's one hit and goes down. Double kill for Sunprod. Chang'e Best, though, fights back and takes out the jungler for Food Fighters. Now a 2v2 and we're stepping up. Chang'e Best wants to fight, but Tuba's the focus. They turn and they kill. Now Chang'e Best in the 1v2 on Hostile Puppy and company. Nog gonna take the 1v1 back with Kveka on the left-hand side. Chang'e Best staying alive for now. Uses the Blinking Abyss to reposition, but can't get the lasers. Avoids the ult, can't avoid the damage. Nog 1v1 in the speed buff, and Kveka jumps away. When all is said and done, the left side Phoenix falls. Sunprod cleans house. The Skogs lose 4, and the best we can say is they stay alive.
At the very least, their Titan does not fall, but that left-hand side Phoenix going down there. Food Fighters have advantages here now that they can punish. I'll be honest, I don't know why Skogs are on that right-hand side. That's not the bird you want to force. The Gold Fury was spawning. Again, I come back to the macro play, and the decision there just isn't it. Go left. Gold spawning. You need to get gold to get back into this game. At the very least, it's not crazy as Hostile Puppy nearly dies to that Gold Fury.
That would have been embarrassing.
I mean, we've seen an Eye of Erebus death. We've seen
it all.
A Divine Ruin. Is Divine Ruin? Yeah, Divine Ruin proc. Nearly kills someone as Kveka turned around.
Gets caught, heart bomb on. Can you escape it? Auto's not going to connect enough.
Nog has speed buff and should be able to outrun John Rowing. No dash just yet.
Ooh, look at Sunprod, look at Sunprod. Remember this? Do you remember running into me in the jungle? That's my revenge. John Rowing with the last hit. Nog falls and gets picked off.
Pyromancer are going to go the way of the the Skogs at the very least. But Fire Giant spawning soon, and you have to answer this left-hand side. I feel like this is a huge tempo potential play here for the Food Fighters, where they're grouping here and likely soon to pull it. Two Phoenixes weakened as well for the Skogs. They have to defend their base. But with 12 seconds on this Fire Giant, you've stolen it once before. Can you do it again?
No way, right? No way you can be a hero to that extent 2 times. We talked about it, tempo, all the reason to do it. Chang'e best has to have a bone to pick this game. Nog up in 15, won't be available for the Fire. Fire Giant, half health. Food Fighters there first, doing it a little bit slowly, daring the Skogs to jump up. You can see how far up Timer 1K has gotten. There's a stun out early, a pull in on the tuba, focus from Sunprod. The damage is on. Is it a kill? Typhoon hit, Sunprod follows. Jetstream on, Centaurus answer, but is there damage from it? Not so far, as John rowing into the back line. Tempo's gonna die. Tuba's gonna die too. Timer has to retreat with Chang'e best. You did pull off the Food Fighters from the Fire Giant. You have Nog back up. So you get to go again.
Nog has ult, and the health bars are fairly low for John Rowing, who's the only member with ultimate, but it's low.
Timer, Sunprod into the back line, pulls 2, slows them down. Fire Giant let go at 3K. Eagles rally over the wall, trying to find 2 off. To the side goes Nog. The dash to stay alive. The dunk on the right, 2 dead on the left. Nog dead. It's Smite when 5 die. It's a deicide, and the Food Fighters have killed 5.
They might be able to run down and end the game here as well. Weakened birds and death timers at 40 seconds for 3 members. Food Fighters might have just clinched that 4th bolt for Sunprod.
4 bolts hasn't happened. Sunprod wants Aura. Kaveka wants their first bolt. And the Food Fighters are on the way. Left side, Phoenix about to respawn. Tempo and Tuba versus the world. The middle Phoenix goes down, and the Food Fighters walk into the throne room. Tempo and Tuba have 1 ultimate to their name. Here's a defense. A stasis to slow them down. 10 seconds till reinforcements. Will you survive that long? No! The Food Fighters ascend. Sun Prodigy stands atop the mountain, and the Food Fighters are your Athens champions.
Tempo does their best with the Scepter of Dominion, but it's not enough. And 4 bolts to the name of Sunprod in that OSL Discord. I mean, a huge congrats, and I would argue just not their best series overall. And to me, that's a team win. Food Fighters as a team.
That was a team victory, 100%.
So good working together. The macro plays just a little bit better than the Skogs.
There it is. There it is. The Food Fighters are your Athens champions, season number 8. The Food Fighters, by the way, as an organization, are dominating the Olympus Smite League. Sunprod makes it work. Kaveka helped carry the torch, but as you said, Book, this was a team effort through and through. The Skogs, though, one hell of a fight by all rights. They shouldn't have even been here, but they tried. But ultimately, 4 times now, Sunprod stands atop Mount Olympus.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say. I mean, yeah, congrats to the Food Fighters, commiserations to the Skogs, a team that, like you mentioned, shouldn't even have been here. Chang'e best with a Fire Giant steal to try and prolong this game. Again, it just comes back to the macro decisions. I think once they got that Fire Giant, that they couldn't find a lead back into it. And Sunprod with a 3-man pull on the right-hand side, a 2-man pull at the end there. And then the fight just goes their way around that Fire Giant. And they get the win. The important win. The most important win they needed today was that game 4. I mean, congrats to them. Hostile Puppy with a solid performance. Kaveka as well. But I think this game to me is Sunprod and Paris working so well together. Really punishing this Baron mid in the early game. and allowing Paris to kind of take over in the mid to late, where the Hecate just does so much work to control space around these objectives.
Wow, oh wow, oh wow. Food Fighters take it. They take the championship. The Athens division for season number 8 is done. Usually, Athens division marks the end, but we're not done with the Olympus Smite League quite yet. Still a finals to go, if you can believe it. Sparta division finals are still to happen, Book, and I believe those are Sunday, correct?
Sunday, I believe.
Sunday. And from what I've heard, it sounds like they might be on Smite Game. So make sure you are in one particular spot. And where should you be? You should be in the Olympus Smite League Discord, and for a few reasons. First, of course, we have the grand finals coming up for the Sparta division, but season 9 will be around the corner. So don't miss your chance to compete next season and join the community today. You can scan the code on the screen now, or use !OSL in the Twitch chat. That'll pop up a Discord link. Now, don't forget, by the way, especially don't forget this. I think Sunprod's already taken the winnings to go buy some more chicken nuggies. That dude's chicken nuggie collection is overflowing at this point with the amount of championship gold that him and Sensei Prod have in their trophy cabinet. But $2,500 was for the grand prize winner. $1,000 still goes to second place. So, and I feel so confident saying the Djungelskogs have earned that and some more. They played a hell of a set against a team that looked just downright dominant. A big shout out to the entirety of the Olympus Smite League administration team, moderators, of course, production and casters alike. My name's been Malum, and I've been joined by Spirited Book. You have one more cast to go this season, so do not miss it. Congratulations again, of course, to the Food Fighters for taking the championship. The 4-time champion, Sun Prodigy. The aura has been achieved that he wanted oh so badly. Tempo's revenge will wait for another day. We thank you for watching the Olympus Smite League. Until the next time we see you, be sure to be safe. We'll see you soon.
Ready to go! Shortcuts, no safety net. Every step earned in sweat. Long nights, same climb. Pressure builds, still I grind. Still here, still live. No crowd.